It's Jodi Day. Welcome.
D-Day.
Welcome,
Heyo.
everybody in the chat. Hey,
Ah,
Nick, how are you?
I'm brain mushed after yesterday. Think I went on for first 9+ hours for the trial stream, and then my finally Friday stream for 2.5 hours. Yeah, so my brain is mushed today. Apparently I have my limit around 10 hours of continuous streaming per day.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, there
uh,
has to be a limit, right? I mean,
yeah.
I worked, but I didn't really stream much yesterday. But
Mm,
because I was watching your trial and Baker's trial and jumping in, both trials from time I
yeah.
felt like I streamed for a lot of the day. And
Mm.
then I did the expert stream, and my nose still hurts from that. That's the one thing I didn't expect. My nose hurting.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Danielle
that
with a
that was a
5.
costume.
Yes, it was.
Oh, that was
I'm wondering if I
amazing.
should auction it off or what I should do. I also have a Polly Pocket still, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the Polly Pocket.
Yeah.
But
And yeah. And
Danielle, been a member for 5 months. That's awesome. Thank you very
yeah.
much for the member chat.
Yeah. Did you see what somebody sent me? Yeah, you did.
I did. Yeah. Somebody sent that to you. That's awesome.
Yeah, this is awesome. I mean, thank you whoever did it. Was unexpected. I had my costumes ready for Tuesday and next Saturday, but yeah, I can now visit. I mean, there will be Halloween streams to visit throughout the week, I think. So yeah,
There we go.
yeah.
No, I don't repeat costumes, Lefty. I'm sorry. I don't repeat costumes, but it can be yours for the low price of whatever the auction bid is.
Mm,
You can wear it all you want.
mm.
We'll match
And
it.
if you want to see me stream in this during now, well, what's a good number, Dave? What's a good
Oh,
number?
I don't know. I thought we were doing costumes on Tuesday's Jody stream because it's
Yeah, but
actually Halloween.
I have another costume for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to grift a bit here.
I see.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's say
Juan Miguel.
$100 and 25 members, and I will stream Yodi today in this.
All
Yep.
right. There we go. Wait, I got to play this. Oh, I'm so far behind on my own stream. There we go. All right. So, yes, it is Jody Day, though. No, regardless of the season, regardless of the holiday, what happened last night, or anything else, we stop everything that we do. By the way, so I've been saying at noon Eastern and 6 p.m. Swedish time on Tuesdays and Saturdays, but for a week, it will be noon Eastern, 5 p.m. Swedish time,
5 p.m. Swedish time.
starting
Yeah,
next week.
because
Yeah.
starting next week, we have daylight savings. Or what is it on the fall?
It's
Yeah,
daylight savings.
yeah,
Yeah.
daylight savings. That's a stupid practice. Abolish that. Abolish that.
Well, just pick a time and stick with it. I want to stick with daylight savings and just keep it all year long. I don't want to go back to standard time.
Yeah, exactly. Daylight savings all year round. Everything else is stupid.
Jung says she's listening but not watching chat, although she's in chat to send a message that she's listening and not watching chat. But welcome, Jung.
Yeah, I saw earlier in the chat.
We missed so many chats. I
Yeah.
see everybody in here. We got Melissa,
And
got
and
Heather.
P said earlier how hard to believe both the defense and prosecuting attorney lost their jobs over this case. Not exactly. The
Not over
defense
this.
did. Yeah, the defense did by writing the book afterwards, a tell-all. The prosecutor, he did not lose his job over Jodi. He lost his job because he disbarred himself because
Well,
misconduct with the female co-workers.
yeah, it was completely unrelated. He decided to get a little friendly with some ladies in the office, and
Yeah.
it's conduct unbecoming an attorney, essentially, is what it
Yeah.
was. But but not over this case. Although I will say that the prosecutor was called out quite a bit, apparently, in some of the appeals.
Yeah,
for his conduct.
and we will go more into that after we are done with the trial, but a spoiler. I think his conduct should have been a mistrial.
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. I
Mm.
mean, I haven't seen all the trial, right? So we're starting to get into the angry elf. This is cross-examination, by the way.
Yeah.
We're at cross-examination of Jodi and by the angry little elf. And
Broken
yeah,
Baker says, you will dress up as a Tootsie Pop?
that would be awesome. Oh, do I have time to get a Tootsie Pop costume?
What's the other? Pop Rocks? How do I dress up as Pop Rocks?
That's just like a packaging, but I could be a Tootsie Pop.
I have to look that up. I have cardboards. I can't paint,
Yeah.
but I have cardboards. Oh,
We're-
I had something other in mind.
I was going to
But-
dress up as a Walmart C-ring, but I like the Tootsie Pop better.
Okay, we will try. We will try. We will try.
That's awesome. I'm stealing that idea.
Yeah.
All right. So
Thank you, Baker.
We have about 2 hours of trial.
Yeah.
For the rest of this, I'm going to, as always, we bump it up to 1.25 at least, sometimes faster because it is so slow. If it's too fast for anybody, let me know. I don't have the audio boosted, I don't think. I'm going to boost the audio and turn down the volume. So if we need to turn it up a little bit, we can. But let us know how the audio is compared to ourselves.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to start playing it, and then I'm going to go research Tootsie Pop costumes.
Yeah. And by the way, you can watch us both at the same time. If you have a cell phone and a TV, you can have both on. Just mute one of them. And remember, thumbs up, promote us to the rest of the YouTubes. The more who watch, the more thumbs up, the more active the chat, the more YouTube will promote us to the rest of the YouTubes.
Am I linked at the top? Oh, I am. Okay. Yeah. So
yes,
you won't miss anything if you're watching a Nick's chat. Come over and watch on mine. Give MLS a little thumbs up. We are dual streaming. And the same if you're in my chat, there's a link to Nicholas's stream at the top of the chat. You can go over and not give him a thumbs up. But if you are a member in my chat, which I highly recommend, you get access to all of our Jodi emojis, such as the 3-hole wonder, or Jodi in a straitjacket, or Jodi's little stabby knife.
Yeah. And if you remember at mine, you have lots of Viking stuff for obvious reasons.
All right, let's see. Oh, and by the way, yeah, so for a portion of this, we don't have any video. It's just audio, so we got to pay attention.
Yeah.
It has not. She's going to lay the foundation.
Jury can't hear.
You know what I really liked is when we were in the bath with the candles. Great.
Yes, there's an objection.
Bubbles.
Well, hang on, let me back it up a touch. Sorry, because I don't remember where exactly we left off. We're on cross-examination. We went through the finger, and now we're doing a recording. Oh, this is her jailhouse phone call recordings.
Oh.
That's what it is. Yep.
Okay.
That's what we're into now.
Yes, I have an opinion.
And you think they're hot, don't you?
The braids. The braids. She thinks the braids are hot. They're
I guess.
cute. They're not.
Well, no, you're the person that knows. We don't want you to guess. You think that the braids are hot, don't you?
I think cute is more appropriate.
Ma'am,
Oh, yeah.
let's take a listen then.
All this-
This mark makes an exhibit.
He
Part of the
wanted me to
conversation
look
that
younger,
you had
but
with
it
Mr.
was
Alexander
her
back on May
who
10th
put
of 2008.
the
I'll mark it. Have you listened to
teeny
it? See
braids
whether or
on.
not they-
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Yeah, no, for her entire testimony, oh, Travis wanted me to look like a teenager and a young girl, but then the person who actually braided her hair, you know, that Pippi Longstocking style, that's Jodi.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Crime Spies. Welcome. That's cold.
Hey,
27.
welcome.
It's only like 50 here, but it's warm in the treehouse, so I'm good.
Is your voice and whether or not we're talking about the braids.
I'm going to put a poll up, completely Jodi unrelated, or unrelated to Jodi.
It has not. She's going to lay the foundation.
Jury can't hear.
You know what I really liked is when we were in the bath with the candles. Great.
Yes, there's an objection.
Bubbles that's on top of it.
Oh, I love the braids.
I can't hear anything. What's going on?
Me neither. Or they must have a sidebar.
Oh, maybe. This is annoying. Let's jump it up. I think that's where we ended it.
Yeah.
No, last week. That's what it was.
Oh, there they are.
I can see. You guys hear my chickens?
You know what I really liked is when we were in the bath with candles, I had braids. Some of her bubbles that's on top of it.
Oh, I love the braids.
I know those are hot.
Yeah, I think those are
That was your
hot.
voice, right?
Yes,
And you're talking about braids, right?
yes,
And you're talking about how much you like them, right?
yes,
And you're also saying that they're hot, right?
yes.
And this encounter involving the hot rod.
Dave, should I auction off or sell the McTurner costume? Yes, no. Don't you mean sell or?
Wait, how did I write it? Shit.
Yeah, bit confusing maybe.
All right. Let me. Well, I think
Yes.
they're getting the gist of it.
Hey, Ghost Ray, welcome.
I was gonna put it up for sale at like a fixed price, but just to recoup my cost, if that's gonna be Iris,
Yeah.
who is even talking here?
Yeah,
This is
including
Jodi
including at least one wet spot.
talking. Yeah, it is beer soaked and maybe something else soaked. It comes the way it comes. Who was even talking? That was Jodi talking. I think I thought it was the jailhouse videos or phone calls, but it's actually I think it's a recorded sexy phone sex
Yeah.
thing with Travis that we're listening to.
And Tootsie Pops also involve braids, right?
Yes,
So you enjoy those braids, right?
I don't, it's not a yes or no answer.
Well, we did hear you saying that you enjoyed them, right? Do you want to hear it again?
No,
You did hear that, right?
I said I like them.
When you say that you like them, isn't it true that that means that if there's something that's enjoyable,
Yes,
right? And you also said that they were hot, right?
yes,
So during your sexual encounter with Mr. Alexander, if you wore braids, you thought they were hot and you liked them, right?
I like his attention.
Yes, both hot and like them.
Restate the question.
When you were with Mr. Alexander, isn't it true? You wore braids, you liked them.
Yes,
And with regard to the braids, isn't it true that when you were with Mr. Alexander, you thought the braids were hot?
okay.
Oh, no, I'm not asking for an okay. I'm asking for you to tell me the truth. What is it that you believe?
I believe that he thought it was hot, so it was hot.
So what you're saying here with regard to exhibit number 460 and that telephone call that was played during your direct examination, you're saying you lied?
No,
Well, you want to listen? Here, when you say...
Jodi,
they're
you
hot?
said you lied.
I just heard it.
Right, and it doesn't say anything about you doing this with Mr. Alexander anyway, does it?
No, that's implied.
It's implied, let's listen to it and see where it's implied.
When she says, listen, when she says that is hot, it's only implied that it's hot. I know what
Yeah,
he's getting
sure.
at, but for her to say that that statement wasn't a lie, but she introduced it as this is a way that she felt she could communicate with Travis and give him what he wanted, even though she really
Yeah.
wasn't into it.
Yeah,
It's all
and this is
doesn't make sense.
it's the same with the photos that the prosecution is good at finding things the defense is introducing to use against. So
Yeah.
I think the defense should have been much more careful with their evidence.
Well, I think the defense knew that this recording was coming in, and they tried to get out ahead of it and minimize the damage as much as possible.
Okay, yeah, that too. Yeah.
You know what I really liked is when we were in the bath with candles, I had braids. Here, some of her bubbles, on top of.
Oh, I love the braids.
I know, those are hot.
That's your voice, right?
Yes, and Travis's.
Did I ask you if that was Travis's voice, man?
I didn't know which voice you were talking about.
Did I ask you if that was Travis's voice?
No.
We're talking about your voice. That was your voice, right?
Oh,
And you do say that
he's
those braids
angry.
are hot, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Could be a bit much.
And you said it
Yeah.
because you believed it, right?
She is allowed
Yes.
to elaborate on her answer.
Yeah,
So
she doesn't have
the-
to stick with a yes or no response.
Yeah.
These
And the
two
defense
entries that we have here, these journal
going to
entries.
be going objection.
Exhibit
The
number 4.
prosecution is
56.
badgering the witness.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't brought that up yet, but he definitely is badgering the witness.
Yeah.
The other thing is just
Mm.
because the witness isn't bound by a yes or no response, if a yes or no response doesn't fit, doesn't mean then that the attorney can't ask a follow-up question. Did I ask about Travis? It's a little condescending. It's a little argumentative. It's a little
Yeah.
badgering. There should be an
It-
objection there.
Yeah. Can it have been a tactic from the defense? Let's have the prosecution yell as much as possible. Get the jury to really dislike him.
At some point, I feel like as a defense counsel, you would want to call it out. You don't want to necessarily control it because you want that effect, but you would call it out by objecting, badgering the witness. But maybe they're just waiting.
You start them out by dating them at the upper left-hand corner of each of that one, which is exhibit 456 and 458. You also date it on the upper left-hand corner or the left-hand corner. Do you see that?
Yes.
And you've already told us that there are no dates in between the Sunday 12008 and Thursday 12408, correct?
Correct.
And you looked at the journal, right?
Yes,
There are no entries between those two dates, right?
that's right.
And it's fair to say that September 22nd of 2008 falls between this gap here, correct?
Correct.
And nowhere do you mention either in this January 24th of 08 or January 20th of 08 document, you don't mention anything about this physical encounter with Mr. Alexander that you told us happened on January 22nd of 2008, do you?
No, I would have never.
I'm not asking if you would ever. Do you mention it there?
I said no.
And with regard to not mentioning it there, nothing stopped you from mentioning it, right?
Yes, something did stop me.
So you're saying that somebody held your hand and stopped you from writing that?
I'm not saying that.
Are you saying that somebody came into your house and stole your journals and said, you know, and took whatever was the journal there so that took the journal so you couldn't?
This is this perfect spot for an objection. He's
Yeah.
misstating her testimony, and that would be the objection that I would bring.
Mm.
Because she just said something, and instead of saying what would be the normal logical follow-up, he's like, oh, so a ghost grabbed your pen or something. I don't know. He's just going off on tangents.
Yeah.
He's angry.
Write in it?
I'm not saying that.
You had the ability to write in it, right?
Yes.
You had the free will to write in it, didn't you?
Yes.
And there is nothing there, correct?
Referencing that incident?
Pardon?
Do you mean referencing that incident?
I can't hear what you're saying.
Do you mean referencing that incident? There's nothing there regarding
Right,
that?
there's nothing referencing that incident between those two dates, is there?
There is not.
The reason it's not there is because it didn't.
Can't prove a negative.
That's not right.
You do say in exhibit number 456, I haven't written because there has been nothing noteworthy to report, right?
That's right.
So to you, getting this injury to the left ring finger, that's no big deal then, right?
That's
that
not
what
what it
you're saying?
says.
Pardon?
That's not what it says.
I'm not asking you what it says, I'm asking you what you think. It's no big deal to you then, right?
That's not right.
Well, you came in, you told us about it, right? But it's not written in your journal, right?
No.
You didn't call the police, right?
No.
You didn't get any medical care for it, right?
Not professional medical care.
Ma'am, did you go to a doctor to get it looked at?
No.
Did you go to a hospital to get it looked at?
No.
Did you go to a friend's
Yep.
house or an acquaintance to tell them about it?
Definitely not.
And with regard to the conversation that you had with Detective Flores back on July 16th of 2008, you didn't tell him anything about that, did you?
No, definitely not.
In fact, you gave him a different story, didn't you?
Yes.
You told him something about these two people and how you got that injury to that finger, right?
Yes.
So you're saying that what you told the detective there was a lie.
Yes.
So you, in your view, when do you decide to tell the truth? When you're in this court and no place else? Is that what I'm hearing from you?
No.
I mean, just because you're in this court doesn't mean you have to tell the truth. I mean, that's what you're telling us, right?
That's not what I'm telling anyone.
Ma'am, nothing has stopped.
I missed that objection. It was really
Okay.
quick. Hang on. Sorry. Because I'm just curious about his objections and what he's doing
Yeah.
here. Because the defense counsel and Jodi do not get along.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if he's just sitting back and like, she's got to fry. I just let her fry herself. Which is not a good strategy, by the way. I don't care who you are. You deserve a valid defense.
I mean, just because you're in this court doesn't mean you have to tell the truth. I mean, that's what you're telling us, right?
That's not what I'm telling anyone.
Ma'am,
I think it was argumentative.
Yeah.
I can't tell. I'm not going to play it back again, but
nothing has stopped you from telling this story ever, correct?
That's not correct.
You have free will, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Nothing the detective did stopped you from telling him, right?
Flores, no.
Nothing
Objection.
that,
Facts not in evidence.
nothing stopped you.
Nobody has
Did
free
you?
will.
When?
When this supposedly happened, January 22nd of 08.
Yes.
You could have driven yourself to a hospital, right?
Yes.
You could have, do you remember telling us about an incident that occurred in August of 2007 where you caught Mr. Alexander kissing some other girl, right?
Yes.
And you told us that, well, with regard to that incident, I called my father, right?
Yes.
And you told him some things about what you had seen and what had happened the day before, right?
Yes.
Nothing would have stopped you from calling your father to tell him that, right?
Well, sorry, I'm kind of hyper literal sometimes.
Yes or no?
Nothing did that day.
Yes or no? Would anything have stopped you from calling your father?
what the hell is hyper literal?
Maybe, but
Well, ma'am, you didn't have any problem calling him in August of 2007 and complaining, did you?
I did have a problem with it. He had to convince me to tell him.
Well, you called him and you told him, right?
Eventually, yes, I did.
You called him and you told him, right?
Yes.
You could have called him and said, hey, I got this problem with my finger. You had a telephone, right?
I didn't have a problem with my finger then.
Well, I thought that you told us when you testified that on January 22nd of 2008 was when you had this finger injured by Mr. Alexander. Do you remember telling us that?
Yes, January, yes.
And so in January 22nd of 2008 or any time thereafter, you had a telephone, right?
Yes.
You could have called your father and could have told him, right?
Could have, yes.
But you didn't.
I wouldn't have. No, I did not.
And no one knew about this injury or this supposed or claimed injury to the little finger until after you killed Mr. Alexander, right?
That's right.
Now, that was a
I'm only
significant
streaming
day,
it, and I have
January
pictures of
22nd of
Jodi.
2008, correct?
Yes.
It was significant for a number of reasons, including the fact that you claimed that on January 21 of 2008, you caught Mr. Alexander masturbating to some images of boys, correct?
I only saw one image. It was a boy.
Now, didn't you say that there were images? There were more than one?
There were more
It's
than one
a
image.
girl.
I only caught a
So
quick
was
view
there
of
more than one image? I'm sorry. Was there more than one image, Mary?
Yes,
Okay, but you only saw one, right?
one
According
clearly,
to
yes.
you.
Mhm.
Is that yes?
That's yes.
And that was the day before this supposed thing happened on January, or where he had this violent issue with you on January 22nd of 2008, right?
That's right.
And if we go again to this entry here of 456, I haven't written because there has been nothing noteworthy to report. That's what you wrote, correct?
Because
Correct.
people are interested, Iris.
The way you explain it to us here, this issue involving this claimed issue involving Mr. Alexander, that's pretty noteworthy, isn't it?
Not for my journal, but
Is it
yes,
noteworthy?
in reality, I guess it is very noteworthy.
It's noteworthy to you, isn't it?
It is today.
It's noteworthy to you, isn't it?
I already answered your question.
And the answer is yes or no.
Yes.
And it's so noteworthy to you that you waited until after you killed Mr. Alexander to tell anybody about it, right?
I waited years.
The answer is, did you wait until after this prosecution started, after you were charged, to tell anybody about it, correct? Overruled.
Yes, I waited years.
And ma'am, one of the things that the way you made it sound was that he had a problem, right?
He did have a problem.
That's what you claim, right?
That's the reality.
That's what you claim, correct?
Okay, yes.
Yeah, Dave has something
When-
for everyone.
Back then, there was this problem. Did you call, for example, the way you made it sound is he had this huge problem. Did you call, for example, Child Protective Service?
No,
I mean, you made it sound that there was such a big problem that he even went and spent the night somewhere at a friend's house and they had a child, and that concerns you. Do you remember telling us that on direct examination?
yes,
And yet, you didn't go to that person and tell him, hey, he's got this issue, did you?
no,
You didn't go to the police department and tell them anything, right?
No,
You chose to keep that allegation until about 2 years ago. Is that right?
I think it's almost 3 years ago at this point. No, I think it was almost 3.5, 4 years ago at this point.
Pick a year. What year did you disclose?
2009 was when I first
And
told somebody.
you were arrested back in July of 2008, right?
Yes,
And when this detective interviewed you, you didn't tell him anything about it, did you?
definitely not.
And you could have, though, right?
In theory, yes, I could have.
Ma'am, one of the things that happened with regard to this particular issue is that there was a hearing that was scheduled involving this. What time did this allegation happen? When do you claim that, we know the date, what time do you claim that you saw this masturbatory activity?
It would have been in the
The
afternoon
way
after
he
my morning
describes
shift.
it.
And what time would that have been then?
I don't know the exact time, but it was afternoon
The-
before, well
Do
before.
you know
stuff was
there
still
are
there.
knockoff
Okay, can you be more specific?
pop
Was
rocks?
it?
Oh, I'm sure there's knockoff pop rocks.
Yeah. Guess what they are called?
Oh God, I don't even know.
Crackle crystals.
God. Oh, crackle crystals. I have seen those. You get those at the dollar store.
Yeah.
By the way, so everyone who wants me to dress up as a blow pop, I found a costume. I'm not sure you're all gonna like it.
Oh yeah. But how do we get? We need to get it on Tuesday. That's the thing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I can make it happen.
It was afternoon.
All right, was it 2 o'clock?
Objection, asked and answered, Chair decision.
Restate the question.
If it was so noteworthy, why can't you remember the time?
It was kind of dramatic.
So
I feel
What?
like that's contradictory to
just
her prior
because
statement.
weren't your senses heightened at that time that you saw this? Didn't you get angry or upset?
Objection, on the question.
Were you angry?
I was sick to my stomach.
Ma'am, were you
I was not
angry?
angry.
Were you angry?
I became angry later, but not in that moment.
Were you angry at that time, ma'am?
I said not in that moment.
So the answer is no, right?
Yes,
Were you upset at that time?
yes.
So if you're upset, aren't you kind of, your senses heightened at that time to know the time?
Objection, she's answered the question.
Can you repeat that?
Weren't your senses heightened because of this anger to at least know the time so somebody could check it out?
Well, you said because of anger, but I wasn't angry at that moment.
Well, then you see this,
It's just wordplay.
you're not
for her.
angry and you're not upset, right?
I
Yeah.
am upset.
Oh, you are upset. If you're upset, don't you think that that would have heightened your senses over what you just saw?
My mind doesn't work like that.
So the answer is no then, right?
Objection, asked and answered.
It kind of moved in slow motion, so if that's heightened,
Is it yes or no, ma'am?
it's kind of a matter of opinion. I don't know.
And I'm asking for your opinion.
Again, asked and answered. She can't speculate.
Overruled.
Yeah, I have it at 1.25. If you guys want to hear what he normally sounds like, it's not much better. This is normal.
Whether it's heightened, my perception of things, is that your question?
Right. At that time when you're viewing this, the way you describe this, bad act.
Well,
I don't
it's,
know.
See, this is why we play it at 1.25.
I'm not sure. I mean, it's something that's, I'm never going to forget, that I wish I could.
What are you saying, Nick?
Yeah, I don't know why it was overruled because he's returning to this all the time. Heightened senses. What? I mean, that's not a scientifically valid question.
Well, I think he's just trying to. He's watched all of Jodi's interrogations.
Mm.
He knows that she tries to listen to the question and think about where you're going and answer in a way where she can step back from it, and try to, say, no, that's not what I said. What I said was I saw one picture, she just said, I saw one picture. And he's like, well, earlier you testified that you saw multiple pictures or you saw pictures. And she's like, well, I saw one clearly. She's always looking for that way. And so I think he's just trying to get her tripped up as much as he can.
All right.
I listen at 1.5. I'm not going to go with that. I'll go back to 1.25.
You're never going to forget it, is what you just said, right?
That's right.
But you have forgotten the time.
I know it was the afternoon.
Ma'am, I'm asking you for the time.
Objection, Ms. Griffiths doesn't, she said she doesn't know the time.
Restate your question, sustained.
You said that you'll never forget it, right?
The incident.
Right. And I'm asking you, isn't it true that you forgot the time?
Objection again in Ms. Griffiths' testimony. She said she never knew the time.
Sustained, rephrase.
You said that you had just been let or out from Mimi's Cafe, right?
For a little while.
Pardon?
For a little while. I was off work for a little while.
You worked at Mimi's Cafe, right?
Yes.
You had been working that day, right?
Yes.
Your shift was over, right?
Yes.
What time did your shift start?
It varied
That day, what time did your shift start?
in the morning.
What time?
Sometime in the morning. I don't know the
I love watching nature in its natural habitat too, Jung. So enjoy yourself.
exact time.
Whole Foods, that's the place where you see some odd folks.
You don't know the exact time, yet you knew that you had to be there on that day at a certain
Yes.
time? What time does Mimi's open?
I've never opened Mimi, so I'm not sure, but they open early.
So you don't know the time that it opens, you don't know the time that you went to work, right?
Not the exact time.
Just the morning is what you can give us, right?
Yes, early morning.
So if you went at 10 o'clock, 10 to 12 would only be 2 hours, right?
That's right.
Was it an 8-hour shift, man?
No, they aren't 8-hour shifts.
So on that day, it was not an 8-hour shift, right?
That's right.
How many hours was your shift?
It depended on the flow of business.
I understand that it may depend on that. How many hours did you work on January 21 of 2008 on this day that this horrible thing you claim happened?
I would only be able to tell you a range.
How many hours then? Give me a range. Since what you're telling me is you don't know.
Well,
I know the
she
range, but not the
testified
exact
to
hours.
that
So you're telling me you don't know
3
the
other
exact
times.
hours?
Yes.
right?
Don't know.
And anything else that you would give me would be a guess, right?
Yes.
And ma'am, do you have, I mean, you had a lot of memory for a lot of events involving sexual instances with Mr. Alexander, yet you seem to be having problems with your memory here today. And you also alluded to a little bit that you have problems with your memory. Is this a long-standing thing that you've had problems?
I have never heard it been described as this, but I am so using that from now on.
Yeah, but also he's starting out vague to get somewhat vague, and then this.
I mean, I think he's badgering her a little bit. He's trying to get her to set off, but I don't think he's going to be able to get her there is the problem.
Mm.
And I think it's making him sound a little badgery.
Mm.
I don't like this approach at all. I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to hone her in on her lies, right? You leave these open-ended, vague stories. Let's explore these vague stories and how you can't complete, an entire story with details unless they're extremely favorable to you. And I think that's what he's trying to do. But
Yeah, but I mean, personally, I would have the apparent lies and then go to the vague. Well, we already know you lied here. How? But we know you lied here. And then go to the vague, ambiguous stuff. Just boom, boom, throughout the timeline. Because as of now, he's more or less going through the timeline that she already remembers how to answer.
yeah, but she does have an uncanny way of answering most questions so ambiguously that it's almost frustrating. I think she's getting to him, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, we'll see how this carries on. I've never watched this trial. I've only seen the clips, so this is interesting.
Problems with your memory, or is this just something that happened recently?
Compound question.
Sustained.
Your problems with your memory, is it a recent vintage?
Define recent.
I don't know, since you started testifying.
No, it goes back further than that.
How long far back does it go?
I don't even know if I'd call it a problem.
Well, just tell me how far back it goes. You said you were going to
Can
tell
you
us.
remember when your memory issues started? Doesn't that sort of contradict itself? If she answers yes, then does she really have memory issues?
Tell me, please.
How far back what goes?
We're talking about your memory problem, right?
I don't know that I'd really call it a problem.
Okay.
I don't remember every single thing that's ever happened to me in my whole life.
Ma'am, your memory issues. We're talking about those, right?
I wouldn't even call them issues, but okay, my memory.
Well, you don't want to call them problems, right?
No, I don't want to.
You don't want to call them issues, right?
I don't know. I really
Right, you
don't.
don't want to call them issues. You just told me that, right?
I didn't say I don't want to.
All right, so can we call them issues then?
Okay.
With regard to these memory issues that you claim to have, when did you start having them?
She doesn't know how to answer.
It depends on the type of memory issue.
If it benefits you, you have a memory issue.
Oh,
Objection, argumentative, Your
It
Honor.
is, or if it hurts you, you have a
I would
memory
get
issue.
frustrated.
Your Honor.
Sustained.
Well,
When it hurts, sometimes I
ma'am, there's no
don't.
question right there. You say that you have memory problems, but it depends on the circumstance, right?
That's right.
And give me the factors. I don't want to know about a specific circumstance. What factors influence your having a memory problem?
Usually when men like you are screaming at me or grilling me, or someone like Travis doing the same.
So that affects your memory problems,
It
right?
does. It makes my brain scramble.
So you're saying that it's basically what you're saying is Mr. Martinez's fault, that you can't remember things that are going on.
It's not your fault.
I'm not saying that. You're saying that, isn't it?
No, I'm not saying that.
Is there something about a certain decibel of the voice that creates problems?
Decibel, tone, content, sort of a combination of those factors.
When?
Objection, Your Honor. This is a stunt. We approach.
You may.
that was awesome. When men like you are screaming at me,
Yeah,
you
that's
gotta love Jodi.
that's actually a good answer.
I know. Just for her to come up with that.
Yeah.
though.
You are screaming at me.
I can't remember things because you're screaming at me. I usually have a hard time when men are screaming at me. That was awesome. That was a little dig at the elf. Yeah. Dang screaming men. I know. That was, I don't know. I like that answer. She came up with that on the top of her head, I'm sure.
And the
What time, ma'am, did you get off of work for meetings?
in the afternoon,
Well, hold on. Let me finish the question. What time did you get off the meetings on January 21 of 2008?
Objection, answer. She's already said repeatedly she doesn't know the time.
a time in the afternoon,
Can you be more specific
No.
about the time? Why not?
because I don't think I was looking at my watch or my phone or any other clock.
Where did you go after you left meetings?
I went to Travis's house.
You went directly to Mr. Alexander's house, right?
That's right.
And what time did you get over to his house?
I'm sorry.
Couldn't hear me?
I couldn't hear you.
What time did you get over to his house?
Objection, answer. She's already said.
About 20 minutes after I left meetings.
And when you got there, ma'am, did you walk in?
Yes.
Front door?
Yes.
Was it open?
Yes.
Was it unlocked?
Yes.
And you said you walked in and you went straight up the stairwell, right?
Yes.
And you didn't say a word going up the stairwell, did you?
I'm sorry.
You didn't say a word going up the stairway, did you?
I don't remember.
Didn't call out his name, right?
I might have. Yes.
And ma'am, in January 21 of 2008, you and he were broken up, weren't you?
Yes.
So it wasn't like you were boyfriend and girlfriend that you went over every day, right?
We were not
snuck
boyfriend
in
girlfriend, but
there.
I went over almost every day.
Pardon?
We were not boyfriend girlfriend, but I did go over almost every day.
You're mumbling, I didn't hear you.
We were not boyfriend girlfriend, but I did go to his house almost every day.
And on this particular day, what were you there to do?
He needed help putting boxes up in his attic.
And had you talked to him about this previously?
Yes.
Was it by a text message or was it by some other method?
I don't remember. It was discussed.
Was it by a telephone?
Probably.
Well, ma'am, how could you discuss it by telephone if you were working at Mimi's?
It was discussed previous to my shift.
So what time did you discuss it then?
It had to do with, well, it wasn't that day. It was weeks ahead of time. It was about the Christmas things that were in his attic.
So now it wasn't that day that you discussed it, right?
It's hard to make up lies on the
Once I
spot.
got there, we were discussing it.
I want to know if that day that you claim this happened, if there was a telephone call in the morning.
I don't remember that part.
And if back then, what was your number? We've already heard it, but,
831-402-1901.
and that would have been the number that you called him on, right? That you used to call him. That would have been the telephone that you would have used to call him, right?
Usually, yes.
That was your telephone, right?
Yes, that was my cell phone.
And you say, well, normally I would use that to call him. Pray tell, what other circumstances would there be that you wouldn't use your cell phone to call him?
Landlines,
Pardon?
landlines.
You had a landline also at your home, right?
There were landlines in the homes where I lived.
Pardon?
There were landlines in homes where I lived.
I'm not asking about the homes where you live. I'm asking about the homes on January 20, your home on January 21 of 2008.
There was not a landline in that home.
There was not one, was there?
No, there was not.
So you would have had to use your cell phone to call him, right?
I probably would have used my cell
Yeah.
phone if I called him that day.
The
Yes.
one mistake
And now
she
you're saying
made
you're not sure if you
when,
called him that
during
morning.
the screamings is that she didn't show emotions. She was completely neutral.
Yeah.
Had she broken down, it would have had effect.
Amber Heard did a better job breaking down and crying,
Yeah.
being attacked on the stand than
Yeah.
Jodi did.
Yeah.
By the way, I have 44 people watching and only 32 thumbs up. If you wouldn't mind,
Oh.
everyone who hasn't given me a like, please do so because I need to dominate Nicholas in this like competition that we have going on.
Yeah, and once you're done with that, you have the link on top of Dave's stream, and go over to give me a like because, I mean, Dave can't
You can
win.
give me a-
You all know it. Dave can't win.
I
And
have not
if-
won a like competition during these joint streams.
You won
in, like,
last
6
time.
weeks.
You
Not
won
the
last
likes.
time.
No, I won the member gifts and
You
the
won.
super
You
chats.
won the likes last time.
Did I?
I'm sure of it.
I don't think
Yeah.
I did. I haven't won
You
in 6
did.
weeks.
You
7
were
weeks.
so. Okay, you can.
Right?
If you choose to give Dave the win in likes, send me a few memberships. I'm
Yeah.
good with that.
There you
Dave
go.
can win the likes. I
want the
can win
likes.
the super chats and the membership gifting.
Yeah, see, because
You-
the likes are free. It doesn't cost anybody anything. That means they truly like me. When you have to spend money, that's just pandering.
I don't think I did because he didn't get up early.
Ma'am, so you're saying you didn't call him that morning, right?
I don't recall if I did or not.
Well, then, I thought you said that there was some agreement or arrangement for you to go over there that day.
There was.
All right, what was the arrangement?
The arrangement was after Christmas, when he had packed up all of his things, to put him in the attic.
No, I'm not asking about that. I'm asking about the arrangement about the time when you were going to go over. I don't really care about what the activity was.
I'm competitive.
What was the
against
arrangement
Dave.
about when you were going to come over, how that was going to work?
Just whenever it made sense.
So whenever it made sense, you were going to go over that day.
Yes, that day was a good day for us.
And you don't know if you talked to him in the morning about telling him that it was that day that you were going to be over.
I don't remember.
And if you didn't talk to him, your coming over would have been a surprise then after working at Mimi's, right?
No, he was expecting me the first time.
How would he be
I agree.
able to expect you the first time if you didn't call him in the morning to let him know you were going to be over that day?
Because it was already discussed.
When was it discussed? Tell me.
It was discussed multiple times in the weeks following Christmas.
I understand that it was discussed multiple times in the weeks following Christmas, but in those multiple times following Christmas, did you pick a date? January 21, let's just pick December 26th. You said to him on January 21 of 2008, I'm going to come over and help you with the Christmas decorations. Is that how it worked?
No,
No, it didn't, did it? You needed, if you had an arrangement, there would have been an agreement, wouldn't there have been?
we weren't that formal.
She's
Well,
starting to look
so you-
smug.
but you just
instead,
told me that you
which
talked-
doesn't fit with what she told just a few minutes ago. You screaming at me makes me scrambled and upset and stuff. But here she is, neutral, and almost looks smug.
Yeah, I mean, everything that she does is completely nonsensical. It doesn't line up. And that's where I think maybe his approach is, that's what he's trying to get out of. It's like, you just make stuff up as you go. All right. That's what we want to show the jury.
About it though, right?
It was discussed multiple times, yes.
Right. And so all those multiple times that you discussed it, you agreed that it was going to be January 21, 2008 after you got off work from Mimi's. Is that the agreement or is that the discussion?
I don't think it was that specific at all.
So what was the discussion then?
Just whenever we got together to do it,
So then he wasn't expecting you like you said he was when you came over that day.
he was hoping I would come over to help him with those things.
Ma'am, you keep saying he was hoping. How do you know he was hoping if he didn't even know you were coming over?
Based on our discussions.
So in your discussions, you told him, I want you to hope that I come over on the 21st?
I didn't tell him that.
Of course you didn't. The point is, you can't tell us anything about the circumstances of that day, can you?
That's not true.
Well, you can't tell us about the time, right?
Not a precise hour and minute.
You
No.
can't tell us what you worked at Mimi's, right? What hours, right?
Not the precise hours.
You can't tell us what time you got over to his house, right?
Not the precise minute.
You can't tell us if there was even a telephone call that morning, right?
I don't remember if there were calls that morning.
You can't tell us anything. But you can tell us that you walked in and then there was this issue and you went in to help him with the Christmas decorations, right?
Yes.
And after you helped him with the Christmas decorations, you left, right?
Yes.
Drove away, right?
Yes.
Came back, right?
Yes.
And according to you, that's when you saw Mr. Alexander engaged in this masturbatory activity, right?
Yes.
And according to you, there were
What?
multiple.
Masturbatory
You saw one of them.
activities? Did he say that?
Masturbatory activities. Yeah, he says that quite a bit. He calls bras brassieres. He calls self-manual manipulation masturbatory activities. And I'm sure you're already down in the yellow.
The wanking wanker.
Particular, correct?
Yes.
And you then left, right?
Yes.
And you left in your car, right?
Yes.
And you went home and started driving around, right?
I went home, threw up, cried, and drove around.
Sure, you did all these kinds of things that afternoon, right?
Yes.
In your car, right?
I didn't throw up in my car.
What's that?
I didn't throw up in my car.
No, you drove off in your car, correct?
Yes.
Well, isn't that problematic since you were driving Mr. Alexander's car?
I wasn't driving his car yet. We were supposed to swap cars.
Well, he didn't have a car that day, right?
We were switching cars.
Ma'am,
back
did
and
he
forth.
have my question
He
is,
did have a car.
isn't it true he did not have a car that day?
No, he had a car.
Well, ma'am, let's take a look at some of the text messages, okay?
Okay.
I'm gonna give you two sets, one with his responses and one without, all right?
Okay.
Nicholas is still green. That's good.
Yeah. So far.
See, this is the thing is, I don't think she knew
Take a look at
where he
that
was
exhibit
going most of the
461.
time during this examination.
Those are text messages between your telephone number and that of Mr. Alexander, correct?
Yes.
And the incoming means that that's your message coming in to him, correct?
Thunderdome.
Ma'am,
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry. I was
do you remember previously testifying that when incoming was on these text messages that meant that
You know what's funny? Because you normally think like she's a small little woman and he's a guy, that he's going to win. I'm not sure he would win that fight.
was you calling or that was you leaving the message?
That was me sending a message.
Right. And the outgoing is him sending it
He's
out,
more
right?
experienced.
You also
in,
talked a little bit about the
status
timing on
evidence.
there, right?
Yeah.
The times that are designated,
Yes.
you indicated that, well, it was 7 hours off, right?
Yes.
I'll be right back.
That copy that I've given you has taken the time to write down the actual times minus 7 hours, right?
Yes.
Go ahead and review it to
And
make
while
sure the
David's
times that
gone,
are on
get
there are
over
correct.
here and give me all the thumbs up. And the super chat. Give super chats and memberships to both Dave and me because we are doing all of this for you. So thumbs up, that's the least you can do.
Yes, those are correct.
Watch.
I believe.
Share
Well,
with your friends
we don't want
on
you to
social
believe.
media.
Take your time,
because,
subtract 7
hey,
from there
why
and see if
not?
that's correct. Because it's important here, we don't want you to believe.
All right.
I'm pretty sure they're correct.
When you say pretty sure, it means you're not sure to me.
No, I said I'm pretty sure.
And it does not include his responses on there or his outgoing messages, does it?
Yeah, it looks like it's blocked out.
Right. Take a look at exhibit 462. Same thing, right? Except that this one includes his responses on them, right?
Yes,
The times are also written in there, correct?
yes,
And to the best of your knowledge, those are the accurate times that are written in there. Those are the accurate times that that message was either outgoing or incoming, right?
that is right.
Okay.
Hang on, let me check. Yeah, they look like they match.
Okay. I may have those back.
I'd rather be his wife than the Visine attorneys.
Look for the admission of exhibit number 461.
That case is so boring. It sounds like an interesting concept, white poison with Visine. It's such a boring case.
Yeah.
I'm still
The
interested
case
in it, though.
Yeah, the case I'm covering much more interesting because we know there will be a follow-up to this trial. The state is after the Adelson family, or all of them, at least the Florida, because after the Charlie Adelson trial, I don't think no matter if he gets convicted or not, they will go for Wendy next or Donna Adelson, because there
I think
is
they're
so
going to go
much.
for Wendy.
Yeah, there's so much. And Charlie seems to be the guy who he has his own interests first. That's why they're going for him. Because if he gets convicted, they will offer him a lighter sentence before sentencing. That's my prediction. But the testimony yesterday, that was amazing.
I missed a lot of it. I got to go back and watch.
Yeah, that was this witness who did not give a single F about anything. And the defense attorney who made the cross-examination, didn't you say this, this, and this? Yeah, I did. So what?
Yeah, so Dan, Visine was used by people to play pranks and give people the runs. So Visine decided to switch up their formula. And now apparently it kills you. So yes. So I guess that's better than having the runs. But yeah, no, Visine apparently kills now. Anna P, hey, give me a membership. I got one from MLS. However, he's not following me on X. LOL. Am I not following you on X? I don't know how to use it properly. But I'm getting there. I'll come follow you.
Well, I'm trying to follow people back on Twitter, but sometimes Twitter doesn't show it that people are following me.
I don't know. Every once in a while it says, hey, we recommend you follow this person and that person. And I say, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how to find people. This is so weird.
Take a look at exhibit 461.
I don't think that's the.
And let's talk about the times
that's the
first.
Anna I'm supposed to follow, but I'm going to follow.
Do you see
her
that?
anyway.
Although it says 122:08 at 003850, someone has written 121:538 p.m. because it's a 7-hour time difference that you talked about previously on direct examination, right?
Yes,
And when we talked about, it's got your name on there, right?
that's right.
It's got your telephone number on there, right?
Right.
And then it has the time of January 21st at 5:38 p.m., right?
Yes,
And then it says, you say, I can't remember, am I coming in for you on Wednesday at 10:30? Isn't that what it says?
yes.
I have not read Nurmi's book. I need to purchase it and read it. I did read the prosecutor's book, and it was a lot of self-gloating, but you can get sort of an insight into what his strategy was with this case. And it was very good. I got an audio version. I just listened to it. I liked it, but I haven't purchased Nurmi's book yet, which I need to. Nick, have you read that one yet, or any of them?
No. I listened in a bit on the families or the friends of Travis book, but didn't find it that very interesting because they are portraying him more or less like a saint, and yeah, I don't think that is a correct description of him.
Yeah, he was not. He was a playboy.
Then, you see the next one at 6:41 p.m., right? You claim that you have already left Mimi's Cafe in the early afternoon, right?
Yes.
And so,
I didn't say early. I said sometime in the afternoon.
but you can't tell us the time, right?
That's right.
But at 6:41 p.m., you are talking about trading cars before FHE, right?
Yes,
FHE stands for Family Home Evening, right?
that's right.
And Family Home Evening starts at 7 o'clock in the evening, doesn't it?
I don't remember.
Well, you were a practicing Mormon, weren't you?
Yes, sort of.
And you attended Family Home Evenings. You were telling us about that, right?
Yes, I did.
And you attended them more than once, right?
Yes, I did.
And of all of those times that you attended, didn't they start at 7 o'clock?
I don't remember. They were in the evening, but I don't remember the time.
Would they have started at 10 o'clock at night?
No, they were not too late.
How long? Isn't it true that they lasted about an hour, Family Home Evenings?
Yes, roughly an hour.
And then the
Yeah, they
people that were
both
there,
did.
the singles that were there, would get together and get involved in some sort of social activity, right?
Yes.
Bowling, that sort of thing, right?
My ward never went bowling.
Movies, something like that.
My ward never went to movies.
Going out to dinner.
It was usually at the church.
But it could also be at people's houses, right?
Yes,
And then at 7:19 p.m., you're sending him a text. Never mind, one of the stores I need to go to closes at 8 p.m. I'll just go tomorrow, right?
that's right.
That's evening now, right?
Yes,
You said that this incident involving the masturbatory conduct occurred in the afternoon, right?
The day of her baptism, Iris. The day of her baptism. That's how long it took, according to her testimony.
Yeah.
I kind of like that look on her face. Salvador, what do you think?
No, wait. They had this oral thingies in the car before her baptism.
No, but the question was how long was she technically a Mormon breaking the
okay.
rules by having sex? The day
That's-
of her baptism.
Yeah, the day of her baptism. Yeah.
Did not last long.
it did.
So it would have happened before 7:19 p.m., right?
Yes,
And you were already gone. You were wherever, right?
yes,
And you told us though that no, he kept calling you, and then you said you called him back, right?
yes, I did.
And then you went out and got him something from I think it was Starbucks or something, and you brought him something over. Do you remember saying that?
Not that day.
Well, then you went over to his house, though, right?
I did.
And you went over and then you had sex with him, right?
Yes,
What time did you go over to his house?
it was in the evening.
What time?
You
Done
look
with that.
new. Welcome.
Well, if he's going to Family Home Evening, he's not going to be around. If it starts, assume it starts at 7. He's not going to be around at 7 o'clock, is he?
Restate your question.
If, just for hypothetical.
So, Jeff, the only thing that influenced Jodi was she wanted a husband that wanted kids, someone who could take care of her and had money. She saw Travis, and she's a chameleon. So whatever her boyfriends are into, she's into. And Travis was selling prepaid legal services and Mormon. So guess what Jodi did? She sold prepaid legal services, and she did that beforehand. That's how she met him. But she continued it and stepped it up, and she became Mormon. That's the only thing that attracted Jodi to that religion. And in fact, there was an excellent interview with some of Travis's friends, which we're going to have to go over, you and I, Nick. We're going to have to stream at some point, because the level of her faux commitment to Mormonism was amazing.
Yeah.
Hypothetically speaking, man, if Family Home Evening starts at 7 o'clock, he's not going to be home at 7 p.m., is he?
Objection, assumes it can't be there.
If he went, then he wouldn't be.
I'm not asking if he went. If it starts at 7 o'clock in the evening, he would not have been home then, right?
Objection, assumes fact on evidence that he was there. He went to FHE.
Overruled.
It wouldn't necessarily mean that, because it doesn't mean that he went. But then I
Yeah.
think,
I'm saying hypothetically. That means assume
okay,
that he
yes,
went to Family Home Evening. And if it started at 7, he wouldn't have been at his house, right?
that's right.
And if he has become involved in this masturbatory conduct, why are you worried about trading cars with him?
I think he wanted to trade the car.
Man, this is not him writing that out there, is it?
I wanted to do it before FHE. He wanted to trade the car.
Well, why don't we take a look at his, which is 462. This is the one that includes his responses, right?
Yes.
Take a look at it and see who's concerned about trading cars.
Auan is how you spell the prosecutor's name, right? Juan. I don't remember. I put a poll up.
It indicates the back and forth involving the car, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
I move for the admission of exhibit number 462.
Do you think she's sitting on the stand right now, imagining ways she would stab him to death? Currently, at this moment, live in trial, I feel like she is.
No, I think she thinks she's winning.
I truly do think she thinks she's winning. She thinks
Yeah.
so highly of her lies. Well,
462 is admitted.
she's
Ma'am, do you know who Alice Laguilet is?
Yes.
she's 28 right now in the trial, during the trial.
Oh no, she must be older.
I can't remember. She's something like that.
She's 43 now, I think. So she should have been 33.
Okay,
They
so
were
she's
26.
32.
They were 26 when they started, and she was 28 when the stabby shooty part happened.
The okay, so for 28 years, she's been able to talk herself out of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so I think she still thinks she's winning.
Flux.
Who's somebody that
Flux.
is assisting you in this case, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, Flux Ray.
Isn't it true that you
Hey,
told
Flux
her
Ray.
Oh, Flux Ray.
that the masturbatory
Ray.
conduct
Yay.
involving
Flux Ray got here just in time for the masturbatory conduct. Or welcome, guys.
Mr. Alexander took place while he was on the
Thank
computer?
you so much, Flux.
No, I never said that.
Isn't it true that you've heard a statement from her indicating that you told her that the masturbatory conduct took place while he was on the computer?
No, I've never heard her say that.
Ma'am, were you here at a hearing?
Objection, Your Honor.
Right.
Did Flux Ray you and not me, even though I gave her $20 in super chats to build a tower in my honor?
What can I say?
You know what?
She knows
Flux?
she knows quality. I think she alternates between us. So she chose me this time. She might choose you next time. Thank you, Flux. Love you too.
And isn't it true that you heard Ms. LaViolette indicate that you told her that you saw Mr. Alexander masturbating to images on a computer?
No, I heard you say that in a hearing.
Well, ma'am, do you remember that I played a snippet with her voice on it?
Yes, but I couldn't understand it.
Did you hear that snippet? Yes or no?
See?
I heard it, but I didn't understand it.
See?
I'm not asking you if
I
you understood it. Isn't it true that you were here when that snippet was played?
Giveth me the thumbs up.
And that snippet involved whether or not she had ever told the prosecution that you told her that you saw Mr. Alexander masturbating to images on a computer.
That's right.
Yeah, the wanking wanker wanked at wanky pictures.
This is now exhibit 462.
She can't remove that smug face. She
And it
was
includes
decent
the
during direct
outgoing,
examination.
which is Mr.
Now
Alexander's.
she has
text
that
messages,
smug
right?
That's
smile.
right.
And we were talking about exchanging cars before going to FHE, Family Home Evening, right?
Yes.
And ma'am, you did indicate something about whether or not you called them, or did you say you did or did not call him that morning?
I said I don't remember.
So it could be true that you did not call him at all that morning.
Objection, comment, question.
Denied.
So it is true that you do not know if you called him that morning. So, well, let me do this. It could be you did not call him that.
Thierry cheating on Baker.
It could be because I don't remember.
And again, is this issue with your lack of memory because of the questions, the way they're being posed?
No.
He was a
Does it have to do with the volume of the person asking you the questions?
No, I think it's the length of time.
Is it yes or no? The volume.
Then that would be no.
So at 7:20, you sent him a text message. Never mind, one of the stores I need to go closes at 8. I'll just go tomorrow. So that was 1 minute later. It's the same message that you sent before, correct?
That's correct.
And then Mr. Alexander.
Well, we said this last week, I think,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
if Johnny Depp wasn't as famous as he was, Amber Heard would be charged with his murder. Absolutely. that was going to happen.
Yeah, everything was leading up to that, and she would probably hit the same defense as Jodi. He abused me, and stuff like that. Yeah, less famous guy, she would have ended him.
Yep.
Sends you a text message at 7:24 p.m., right?
Right?
And he says, I got a ride from some peeps in the ward now. You can just go get it. Let me know when you made the exchange. Isn't he telling you that he went to the family home evening there?
Yes,
So he did go to the family home evening, right?
I'm assuming.
Well, there's nothing else that's indicated here other than family home evening, right?
That's right.
And family home evening, from your experience, when you were going, how long does it last?
Usually about an hour. Depends on the event. Sometimes there are special events that go longer.
And then there are other events that may come along afterwards, right?
I don't know. I usually went home after FHE.
That sounds
To your
exciting.
knowledge, man, these family home evenings, did they end after the hour, or were there chances, sometimes, even though you may not have attended, that they would go on longer than that?
Objection calls for speculation is what happened on January 21st.
Overruled, that wasn't a question.
I guess that's always a chance.
What?
I got an Aussie Overlord raid.
Nice.
Nice! Yay! Thank you. So, what happened
Welcome
to
all
Aussie?
Aussies.
Did he puke?
I had to like remove myself from the stream for a minute when first when he did the wasabi, because I thought he was absolutely going to reject the wasabi, and then second with the egg, which was worse for him than the wasabi, which was amazing to me because that would have been the opposite for me. I thought for sure he was going down on the egg, but he did good. That wasn't a long stream. He marked his goal, or he made his goal. That was good.
Okay, nice.
Welcome
Good
all
for-
Aussies.
Welcome all Aussies. We are watching Jodi Arias. She did stabby shooty on her lover who broke up with her because, well, that's the first man who have broken up with her.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
She was a little jealous, she went a little stabby. Although she took pictures of herself in the act accidentally, and then decided to throw the camera in the washing machine for some reason, and that's what really kind of sealed her fate. But in addition to the stabby bits, the photographs, there was also all of her and all of Travis and all of their holds. Were contained in there as well. And those were live broadcast in 2013 when this case was tried. But we're rewatching this case, and she is now. This is the defendant. And she is on cross-examination. If you guys don't, know.
And the prosecution, if you've never seen this before, you grab your popcorn. This is an angry gnome, a really, really angry gnome, and it is entertaining. It is.
Because she was a nut job. She was absolutely a nut job. You can see it here on her testimony right now. She's nuts.
Yeah, and we are dual streaming. So what you first need to do is give me all the thumbs up. And if your wallets aren't dry after Aussies, gift some membership so more people discover both me and Dave. And then over to Dave, give him all the thumbs up so that YouTube promotes us and these streams to more people. So that's
that would be good.
And as long as I have more thumbs up than Dave in the end.
Yeah, he's won 6 weeks in a row, by the way.
No!
6 weeks in a row. So you can give it to me this time.
Well, I'm asking from your knowledge when you were going.
Typically, we all dispersed. It was a Monday night. We didn't hang out too late.
Okay. Then,
If you want to see, by the way, if you want to see all the holes, if you are a member of MLS, you get access to my Discord, and all of Jodi Arias is on display there. If you're interested,
or you can go to day 6, part 2, because what happened was the camera guy or the live technician or whatever, he was supposed to have sound only and remove a picture. He switched the wrong lever and there was no sound and only picture.
Thank you, Court TV.
Thank you, Court TV.
7:25, you send him a text message that appears to be in response to that one, right? Because it's 1 minute later, right?
Yes,
And you say, I'm almost asleep, we'll see, right?
right.
And what you're talking about is exchanging the car, right?
Yes,
The big concern here is exchanging the car, right?
yes.
It doesn't have anything to do with what you claim you saw, right?
We're talking about the car hitting this text message.
Right. It doesn't. And the point here is that you're talking about very pedestrian issues, such as exchanging a car. You're not talking about, Travis, I saw you masturbating or anything like that, right?
It wasn't a pedestrian issue with Travis.
Pardon?
The car was not a pedestrian issue with Travis.
Well, so you're equating this issue with the car the same as him masturbating to images as kids. Is that what you're saying?
Not by a long shot. No, that's not what I'm saying.
Then he's talking about, you obviously don't need it that bad. I got a ride so you could go get the car. Now you're going to sleep? That's what he tells you, right?
Yes.
He's made or tried to make arrangements for you to pick up your car, right?
I don't remember which car I was driving.
Well, he didn't have a car because he got a ride with somebody else, right?
That's not why he got a ride.
Well, when he's riding with somebody else, his car's not with him, right?
That's right.
And so he's without a car at family home evening or wherever it is that he went, right?
Yes.
You have a car, right?
Yes.
His car, right?
Objection, she's asking.
I don't remember which car I was driving.
Well, it wouldn't have been his car.
We have all the pictures, not just the ones that were on display. So
Yeah.
we have, they were exhibits and they're available. So we have all the pictures if you want them.
Because you wouldn't have needed to exchange his car for his car, right?
It would have been mine or his.
Right. So you're driving your car, right?
Objection. Ask an answer.
I've already said that I don't remember which
There's
car.
a
I'm
lot of
driving.
non-members in our chats, so if anyone wouldn't mind,
There,
It's up
you
there.
indicated previously that after this happened, you went home and he kept trying to call you over and over, right?
I had voicemails from him or missed calls.
It means he kept trying to call you over and over again, right?
Right.
Whether you left voicemails or whatever, he kept trying to call you, right?
Yeah, he did.
And you didn't respond to those calls, right?
Not immediately that I remember.
Well-
I was in the visitation center, the visitor
Excuse me?
center, so I had my phone volume off.
You were what?
I was at the visitor center,
What visitor center are you talking about?
the one next to the Mesa Temple.
And is that where you went after this incident happened?
That's where I ended up after driving.
Is this where you were almost asleep?
No, this was after the fact.
So now you're back at home.
Yes.
Right? And in between then and, well, in between what you say you saw and when you were home, that's when you have all these calls, right?
From the time I ran out of his house, he called.
From the time you ran out of his house till what time at night are these calls coming in?
Till I called him back.
When? What time?
As soon as I left the visitor center, I called him.
Right? So you're sure that there's a bunch of calls that he made to you
Alien Dalton,
and then they sort of
congratulations.
piled up,
receiving
whether they're
the-
voice messages or missed calls.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Lynn Dalton just got my merch mug. Ow, 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 ow.
You should send her the cat next. Very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
I know some people have ordered from my stuff. I don't know how long it's taken to get to them. Well, one has to go to Australia, so I don't know.
Yeah, and I have mugs, t-shirts. You can't unf a cluster F, and I also have girl Viking, boy Viking, and yeah,
Hey,
That's
Don. Welcome.
yeah. I also have just last week I put up what do you call them? The female version of a wife beater tank top.
Oh, tank top.
Yeah. Because, hey, I'm a Swedish redneck.
We call them ferals.
And yeah, I'm Swedish redneck and girls in tank tops. Yep. I approve.
Awesome. And then you return this call, right?
That's how I remember it, yes.
Okay. Actually, that's not the way it really went on that day. Isn't it true, ma'am, that there were actually 5 calls that day between you and him, where he called you 5 times and you called him back 5 times? Did you know that?
That there were many more than 5. There may be 5 from his cell phone.
I'm asking cell phone to cell phone. And you're saying that at that time, you only had your cell phone, right?
I only had my cell phone.
Right,
At the visitors.
right. And he left you 5 calls, or he left you calls, right?
Yes.
And actually, there were only 5 calls from him all day long to you on the 21st. Isn't that true?
That's not true.
Isn't it true there was only 5 return calls from you on that day?
That might be true.
And in fact, when you say that he was calling you all the time, actually didn't it go this way that you called him at 3:53 in the evening or the afternoon, didn't you?
That sounds
I'm lost
accurate.
in his
And
examination.
then you called him again at
Yeah.
4:09 in the evening, didn't you?
That sounds
He's
accurate.
going somewhere
And
with
he
this.
returned your call at
Yeah, I'm not
4:29,
sure
right?
I believe he did.
And then you called him back at 4:53, right?
That sounds accurate.
Well, I thought you said that there was this issue that you were not returning his call. It looks like you're returning his call and he's calling you back.
Well, that's probably a cell phone.
Well, what difference does it make if it's a cell phone or not? Isn't that a telephone call?
Yeah, but he has a landline that he called me on frequently.
Right.
I'm not
But
sure
talking
all
about
press is good press for the Sony Cybershot.
on that day, the calls that were made. What was his landline number, man?
I don't have it memorized because it was just in my phone as Travis Alexander.
So you called him at 4:53, isn't it true, PM, and he returned your call then at 4:50.
Waifu, there are MLS leggings in my gift shop if you want to check them
Yeah,
out.
and I have both kind of tanks top, the free flowing that are more fun for the man, and well, both are, yeah, never mind.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where do you go with
Remember
this?
I don't recall that specific, but
Isn't it true he then called you back at 5:11 PM? Remember that?
not specifically.
How about him calling you back at 5:20 PM?
I don't remember specifically.
And how about him calling you back at 5:48 PM?
I just know he called me a lot that day.
And then you returned his call at 5:53 PM. Do you remember any of that?
The time sounds accurate.
Well, then if we go then to 462, which is the text messages, have these calls and then it picks up with text messages. You see that?
Yes,
The communication does, right?
yes.
So there was never a time when, as you said previously, where you and he were not communicating. You're either communicating by telephone or by text message, aren't you?
No, there's a gap.
Well, you said that it was right that you called him at 5:53 PM, right? You just said it. That sounds right.
It sounds about right. I don't remember the times.
Right. And then the first message after this call that you said sounds right at 5:53 PM is at 6:41, right?
Yes.
Less than an hour later, right?
The text, yes.
And then there's one at 7:19, right?
Yes.
And if we say, hypothetically speaking, that family home evening starts at 7, he's already at family home evening by the time that he sends you this text at 7:24, right?
That's right.
You then say, at 7:29 PM, I fell asleep and a phone call woke me up, right?
It's still in January?
What date is that?
Yeah,
The 21st, man.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I fell asleep and a phone call woke me up.
So, okay. So just everyone who's coming in, what's going on here is Jodi claimed that she has a broken finger. She has a broken ring finger on her left hand. And she claimed that that injury occurred in January of 2008 as an example of how Travis was abusive. Her defense is that it was self-defense. Essentially, she's not saying that she didn't kill him, but it was self-defense, and that was an example of how abusive he could be. However, she doesn't mention it anywhere in her diary. Yes, she kept a diary at 28. And also there's a photograph of her with her sister, which shows a non-broken hand from May. And so the argument is that in June, when Travis was unalived by her, that's when she broke her finger. So she's lying about all this. And so they're going over all these communications in January because the prosecution thinks there probably wasn't a fight that broke her finger.
yeah.
So that's why this is relevant.
Yeah, and if you're completely new, this is her third or fourth story about what happened. It started out she wasn't there. Then she was there, but ninjas broke in, killed Travis, but left her alive because apparently that is what American ninjas do. They leave witnesses. And now we are into, no, I did it, but it was self-defense.
Yep. So those are her. We're on her third story, and all of this is nonsense, but it's entertaining.
Yeah.
Bish is crazy. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I thought you said you were at the LDS Center off of Dobson and Southern.
Not by this time.
I thought you were asleep.
I went home and crashed. I'd been crying and I had a migraine.
So when did you go to sleep? Give us a time.
I don't have a time that I fell asleep. I went to sleep after I left the visitor center.
Well, when did you have time to sleep if you're calling him back and he's calling you, and then right after that, you begin texting back and forth? When is it that you find the time to sleep?
Well, I didn't sleep for a long period of time. I just dozed off.
Well, you do say at 7:25 p.m. that you're almost asleep. We'll see about this car transfer thing, right?
Right.
And then you put the Z's on there that indicates you're going to sleep, right?
I was very tired, yes.
And so you went to sleep. You say you went to sleep, right?
I
Yeah.
was laying there very
Apparently,
tired and I think I fell asleep.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
then you say
from
it's-
Alaska.
Yeah.
With well, actually, no. So this is 10 years ago. So they moved from Arizona up to Alaska in time for Letitia Stout.
Yeah. Because women accused of murder, it's always ninjas did it.
Ninjas. He's saying ninjas. Yes. Because he's Swedish, but we don't hold it against him.
7:29, 4 minutes later, I fell asleep and a phone call woke me up. That's when I sent you a text. That's what you say, right?
Thank you, wife
Yeah.
Kron. Female Viking tank order.
Well,
Yay.
when is it that you're sleeping? What's waking you up?
Lots of
between
those out
4
there.
minutes? What's going
I
Lots
on?
don't think
of
I'm
those.
sleeping right then. I don't know. I fell asleep. He wanted me to get the car.
But he's at family home evening already, and he doesn't care because he's already at family home evening, isn't he?
He was a little upset because he got a ride because he thought I was going to go get it.
But it didn't happen, did it?
No.
And the big point going on here is not talking about anything that may have happened. You're not saying you're upset about anything. You're just talking about this car being exchanged, right?
We're talking specifically about the car exchange in the text message.
And you don't say, I'm upset, we need to talk, or anything like that, do you?
No.
You say you have a really bad headache, that you can barely move, right?
Yes.
I have a really
And that's at
bad headache.
7:36, right?
Yes.
And then there's a gap of approximately 2 hours or an hour and 45 minutes, which could be with an activity with family home evening, right?
Yes.
And he says, all right, I'll get it tomorrow then, right?
He says for me to get it tomorrow.
All right, get it tomorrow then, right?
Yes.
In other words, make the whatever exchange of cars that's going to happen, let's just do it tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Or have you do it tomorrow, right?
Right. Whichever.
Which indicates you aren't going to get together that night, are you?
At the moment, yes.
Not at the moment. It says, do it tomorrow. Isn't that what it says?
When that text was sent, yes.
Okay, but then you want to talk to him, right?
Yes.
And that's at 9:16 p.m. You say, can you talk right now? And he says, no, not right now, right?
Yes.
Presumably, if he went to family home evening, I'm not saying that he did, that's probably what he's doing, if he did go, right?
If he did go.
If he did
Maybe.
go,
If
right?
family home evening is still going on at that hour.
And then, but previously, ma'am, you told us that he was the one that wanted to talk to you, right? Didn't you tell us that? That he kept calling until you relented, and then you went over, right?
He did want to talk to me, yes.
Right. But it looks here that, like, you want to talk to him, doesn't it?
I do now, yes.
And then you're still not together at 11:33, and you sent him a message, how long, right?
That's right.
How long is he going to be out, is what
Nice.
you're asking him, aren't you?
No, how long till he was ready to talk?
Thank you, waifu.
Well, that's part of, given what we've seen about this relationship, isn't that part of your jealousy because you want to know what's going on with him that night?
Same.
Ma'am, how long, that's you saying, how long before we can talk, right? Isn't that what it means?
Yes.
And then he says to you,
He didn't admit
And the
to any
times
in
aren't
his
there,
book
but-
if he did. He like studied this case. He sat down like
Yeah.
every day and devoted 3 hours of his day at the office to just reading over everything on this case
Yeah.
before a trial for weeks or months
Hmm.
even.
And no, she did not boil a
he does,
rabbit
and
on
by that I
Travis'
mean,
stove.
they weren't, and
That's
it
the
says,
movie.
did you use my phone this morning without asking, right?
Yes.
So if you got together with him, it was after 11:33, after he got done doing whatever he was doing, right?
What was that question?
If you got together that evening, it was after he got done with whatever he was doing.
That's right.
And so it doesn't seem like he's in a hurry to talk to you, does it?
I don't know.
It doesn't seem like he's all this, like this upset that you portrayed him, that he really wanted to talk to you about this issue that you say that you saw him engaged in, right?
Did you actually follow speculation?
Sustained.
There are gaps here where he's doing whatever he's doing and you're doing the asking how long, right?
That's right.
He then asks you whether or not you used his phone in the morning without asking, right?
Yes.
And you tell him that you did, right?
Yes.
And you ask why, and he says nothing, right?
Yes.
There's an issue about the deposit. And in fact, you're asking him if he made the deposit, right?
Yes.
And he told you that he did, right?
Yes.
Is he giving you money there?
What's the date?
Pardon?
What was the date on that one?
22nd.
I don't know what we were referring to there.
Well, you do say your text message does say, did you make the deposit?
Yes.
And he said yes. And then you said what?
Thank you. I'll make it up to you soon.
It looks like he lent you money there, doesn't it?
Yes.
Any idea how much money he lent you?
He lent me money in small increments. I don't remember.
And he would do it if you needed it, right?
If he could, he would. Yes.
And if you needed it, right?
Yes.
Now, the next day, that same day at 3:36 in the afternoon, you say to him, I'm going to need a ride. I'm off at 4 p.m. Text me. Still the issue with the car, right?
Yes.
Where's your car?
Probably parked at his house.
How'd you get to work?
He sometimes drove me and sometimes I carpooled with a coworker.
So what happened on this particular day?
I don't remember.
What time did you get to work?
I don't remember. I usually worked in the morning, but sometimes I worked evenings also.
So in this day, you're going to get off at 4 o'clock, right?
Well, in theory, if business permits.
But that's what it says there, right?
Yes.
And this is at 3:36. You wanted to pick you up, right?
Yes.
How long was your shift usually? 4, 6, 8 hours?
Depending on the flow of business, typically it was 4 to 6 hours.
All right. And then at 4:04, you send him another text message and you say, scratch that. They're keeping me here till 5 p.m. Can you pick me up then? The lunch offer from my voicemail still stands. What are you talking about?
For him to pick me up.
Pardon?
For him to pick me up after work.
No, I'm asking about the lunch offer. I'm not asking about him picking you up.
I felt really bad for him and everything that happened. So I was just trying to make him feel better because if I were in his shoes, I'd want to jump off a bridge at this point.
So what about the lunch offer? What are you
Oh,
talking about?
dramatic.
That's what it was. I offered to get him lunch.
Well, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon though. Lunch usually is noon, right?
Well, not for Travis.
And then he says, sure, I'm almost off. Yay. Are you eating? If so, just sit in the counter, right?
Right.
Throughout this whole text message in between you and him, there's no discussion about anything that may have happened on the 21st, is there?
Not in text messages. Definitely not.
The answer is no, right?
No.
And in terms of the phone calls that you claim that were being made, there wasn't this barrage of phone calls from him that you didn't respond to. Actually, it was more give and take, wasn't it?
He left a barrage of phone calls at one period of time. Yes.
Pardon?
He did. He left a barrage of phone calls.
Well, then let's just take a look at his phone record, okay? So that we can see it.
I'll see you back here at 3:25. Please remember the admonition. You are excused.
Hold on.
You muted.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, waifu did break a lot of hearts last night as a cop arresting everybody.
Mm.
So disappointing.
Vielhammer Media is the one who has done all the audio remastering of this trial. That's why this trial, well, even before it had good sound. Now it has great sound instead. And Vielhammer Media does this with a lot of the big trials in the past and a few of the current trials. And I will definitely, when I can, I will definitely use his videos. So go give him a subscription, watch, I will put up his content on repeat or something, so he can get the numbers up, so he can get paid for, because what he does is magic.
Yeah, he took a lot of stuff that was really bad and fixed up the audio a lot. And so we're actually streaming from his playlist right now, audio remastered. You can see at the top. Yeah. So, and he's linked in my description. His channel is there. He is in the chat now.
Yeah.
The record will show the presence of the jury, the defendant, and all counsel. Mr. Martinez, you may continue.
Ma'am, we've looked at some journal entries from your journals, and there's only been 2 or 3 that we've looked at. Nowhere in your journal do you ever mention anything about Mr. Alexander in this incident that you claim involving masturbatory conduct.
That's correct.
Take a look at Exhibit 463.
Trial. You're muted again.
Sorry, I have lawnmowers in the yard. Yeah, no, he did. He's doing it now, or he just did it.
I think he just
saw
did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I have a week coming up, because we did an experiment a few months ago, watching that trial from the result to the beginning, just as an experiment. And that trial, the sound was absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. So I could see myself doing a rewatch of that trial in the order it would have been played.
Yeah.
Because
that was
that
adequate.
trial had
You
an
only lasted-
attic dwelling stalker pissing in a cup guy.
But the worst part about that trial is that testimony came out that let's just say he couldn't last very long.
And he was the
his
sympathetic
performances-
one in that trial.
He was.
The attic dwelling, cup pissing, breaking an entry guy was the
He took-
sympathetic one.
He took pictures of her sleeping too, and he was the sympathetic one. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't remember what he got sentenced to, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Anyways,
the
that was a good
sentencing-
trial.
Yeah, that was it. And with good audio, yeah, I would rewatch it because there was a lot missed in that. That couldn't be impossible to hear.
Jung is commanding you, Nick. So you
Okay.
gotta follow her lead.
If I have a few days, because I'm fully booked about a month and a half going forward, but if I can squeeze it in, I will. The patron saint of attic dwellers.
Listening to phone calls and between you and Mr. Alexander, or from Mr. Alexander. Council.
My cat found a bottle from yesterday and is playing with it.
I was muted again. You got a new sub, Jeff. Or Jeff. Jeff just subbed to you, Nick.
Yeah. Hey! Yay, nice. Thank you. Yeah, I have some catching up to do. Because Dave broke 4,000 subscribers last week.
I did. It
Yeah.
was a good week.
Yeah, it was a
Now, I
good
got a
week.
new trial starting on Monday, by the way, guys. Caitlin Armstrong, the love triangle murder case out of Texas, is interesting. And that is starting on Monday. So if you guys
Yeah.
like love triangles that end in
I
murder,
understand that those are not your
this
own
will be the
records,
case
right?
for you.
That's right.
And so I don't expect you to vouch for the authentication aspect of it, but we did previously discuss the calls that were involved between you and Mr. Alexander, and you indicated well, that seems right. The calls that we previously discussed, they're on that sheet, correct?
Not all of the calls, but yes,
The call,
some are.
all the calls that are there, Ann, are the ones between you and him, correct?
The ones highlighted are between him and I, yes.
There are other calls, but not between you and him, right?
Yes,
And the calls between you and him are the ones that you and I talked about, and that you indicated that they seemed right, correct?
they seem correct. That's right.
And that sheet bears that out, correct?
Yeah, the times are out of order, but I
The
think,
times are out of order, and they're out of order because they're different switches that carry the calls, right?
I don't know.
But they are out of order, right?
The times are out of order, yes.
Right, but
Well,
In
I
terms
just
of
subbed to you, Jeff, and I'm gonna go check out your stuff. I noticed you do a lot of video editing or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah. So video editor, photographer, guitarist. Yeah, I'm gonna check out your channel.
calls themselves, we talked about you calling him at 3:53 PM. You can find that on there, correct?
Yes,
There's a blue marking for those, right?
yes,
There's that call, right?
yes.
And there is no other call on the 21st previous to 3:53 PM that you can see, right?
Jeff H, do you have a better video of the Grubhub truck from the Brian Cronenberg case? Is that what I'm seeing here? That's interesting. I might have to check that out for sure.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice.
You mean from me to him?
Right. Or from him to you, or from you to him.
from me to him. I don't see any others before 3:53.
Thank you, Peace
Right.
Pony.
And the last call that was made by Mr. Alexander on that telephone, and we talked about these calls, was at 7:11 p.m., right? There are no calls from his phone after that.
You know, her
I
hair
don't see the
looks
one at
better
7-Eleven.
Everybody-
Yeah, she doesn't have that teenager side
The
ponytail.
last call period they made, not just to you, but to anybody.
Just noticed it.
Yeah.
Oh, on the 21st?
Right, to anybody.
Okay.
That is the last call that he made, right? There may be others that called him, but that's the last call that he made.
Oh, I didn't look at who was calling who. It looks like this is the last call from his cell phone on the 22nd, or 21st, my apologies.
Ma'am, this issue involving your allegation that, I may have it back. Your allegation that Mr. Alexander was engaging in masturbation while viewing images.
He really likes talking about wanking.
That was subject of a
This prosecutor.
hearing back in
He
August 8th of 2011, wasn't it?
Well, because I think Jodi brought it up. Just so
Yeah.
you guys know, so Jodi is alleging not only did Travis abuse her, but he was also into little boys and he was engaging in masturbatory practices to images of little boys. And so that's why he's harping on this, because there's literally no evidence. Remember, this is a guy who unknowingly was going to be unalived, and yet he somehow managed to clean and scrub every hard drive of every computer of everything that he ever had. They didn't find anything, any evidence of this.
Yeah.
That's her story, and she's sticking to it.
Yeah. Not even the supposed Superman underwear.
Oh yeah,
Not
that
even
wasn't found either. Yeah.
Mm.
Spider-Man underwear, the Spider-Man undies that Travis made her wear, which at the time, remember, we had what's her name dancing to him in Charlie's Angels movie. So
Yeah.
that was a thing back then. And
Yeah.
but she made it out to be, well, then he's into little boys. There's really just no evidence other than Jodi's testimony. So I guess if you believe her.
I believe it was.
Well, then let me show you the
Pardon me.
document to make sure that we're clear, and if I could have it certified.
Send me a email or a DM or something with the details. I'd be curious about this case.
Oh, is that a 16-year-old? But they found him on the border of Alaska, if that's the same case.
Interesting.
Oh, Doomsday Dable. Oh.
Well, Stray, you appeal to men of a certain nature then.
Yep.
That's all I have to say.
Hearing on August 8, 2011.
I mean, I like women in men's underwear. It's easier to undress.
I like women in nothing at all.
Yeah.
Ladies, it's not about what you put on, it's about what you take off.
Yeah.
Let's see if that refreshes your recollection. Now, take a look at Exhibit 464 and see if that refreshes your recollection as to the date of the hearing, which is on the upper right-hand corner, and then take a look at page 3 to see if that refreshes your recollection that there was a hearing.
Men know, Stray. Men know what you ladies are wearing. We see the lines.
Yes, there's some language I don't understand, but I remember this.
Right, that, I'm just asking about the date. It was August 8th, correct?
Yes.
And during that, the purpose of that hearing involved at least an aspect of the allegation that Mr. Alexander had engaged in pedophilic conduct, right?
Suggestion is characterizes the hearing.
Remember, an answer, right?
An aspect, yes.
And 4 days on August 4th, before that, you tried to get somebody to lie at that hearing, didn't you?
No,
All right, let me show you some documents. I want you to take a look at Exhibit 465.
Judge, we're gonna object at this point.
Yes, you may approach.
Okay.
Take a look at Exhibit 465. Let me see if you recognize it.
Sorry, I was talking and I was muted.
do you recognize it?
Look, it's a magazine, isn't it?
Yes,
It's your magazine, correct?
yes,
Sent to you, correct?
yes.
Which is it, John?
Move for the admission of exhibit number 465.
I prefer not to know because in my mind, I know.
Yeah, that's it. Don't wear a veil if you want to be kissed. That is awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Wait, is he watching through a supposed P magazine?
No, this is like a photography
Photo.
magazine. Pro.
Okay.
Is
Okay.
that Britney Spears
Oh.
on the cover? No.
Is it about the camera or what's going on?
I don't know. They just moved to admit it, and then there was a sidebar.
Hmm.
And then he's leafing through it.
Yes,
Was it allowed in? Yes, it was. Okay.
And you had it in your possession at one point, right?
yes.
And you had it in your possession on August 4th, right?
I think I did.
Pardon?
I think I did, yes.
I move for the admission of exhibit number 465.
Thank you.
465 is admitted.
So that magazine was admitted.
And previously you talked to us yesterday, directly that May, about being in jail and doing an interview with Inside Edition, correct?
Yes,
And in fact, you were in jail when you received this magazine, correct?
yes,
It's addressed to you, correct?
yes,
And with regard to this magazine, on August 4th, isn't it true that an individual by the name of Ann Campbell came to visit you?
yes,
And she came by and she started to visit. The visitation began at 1:36, but for you roughly around 1:30 in the afternoon, right?
yeah, it was in the afternoon.
And that conversation between you and Ann Campbell lasted approximately an hour, correct?
It lasted a long time, from what I remember.
And as part of the process, while you were there, one of the things that, as part of the visitation, one of the things that you wanted to do was to give 2 magazines to Ms. Campbell, correct?
Yes,
And the way it works is that before you give that magazine, it has to go through a guard so that they can give it out to the person, right?
it has to go through a sergeant.
And in this case, that's what happened with this magazine, correct?
Yeah, it goes through, I'm sorry, it goes through an officer, then a sergeant, then another officer.
But you, and bottom line though, is you wanted to give this magazine to Ann
What
Campbell,
did you
right?
put inside that
That one and another
magazine?
one.
Right, the Star magazine, correct?
Yes, the star.
Well, let's look at the other magazine. Let's take a look at exhibit number
I wonder what she put in that magazine.
466.
Mm.
Is this the magazine that you wanted to give to Ann Campbell, 466?
That was okay.
Well, it's got your name as the addressee, right?
Yes,
And it is a Star magazine, correct?
yes, that's the one.
And this is the one that went along with the photography magazine, correct?
Yes,
I move for the admission of exhibit 466.
Yes, Mads, probably. That would be coherent with how she acted in the phone calls and everything, where she talks and
and
acts
in
like
real
a
life.
teenager.
She's trying to cover it, but she definitely talks like a teenager, even on the stand.
Yeah, but sometimes she forgets. So
You're very
that's
interested in photography and Digital Photo Pro in a magazine, correct?
Yes,
And you previously indicated to us that you're very interested in photography and that sort of thing, right?
yes, I was.
And that for many years prior to your arrest, that you were involved in that sort of thing, right?
Yes,
You took photographs at weddings and all that, and other kinds of photographs, right?
yes.
Oh, yeah.
And here is
What day did we do the sex tape? Because there's a lot of not baby talk, but like really immature talk in that sex tape one. I don't remember what day that was, but it was bad.
the tag that's on there. It does have your name on there, right?
Yes.
Now, inside this magazine, on page 6, we just look at it. Leave the printed numbers to the side and the red numbers to the side. There is some writing in pencil. Can you see it?
Yes.
And can you tell us, if you can, what that says?
Mark Stanek, 520-256-1178, ABC in parentheses.
And you know who Mark Stanek is, right?
Yes.
Mark Stanek is a producer or at that time was a producer for ABC News, right?
Yes. Well, I don't know if he was the producer at that time.
But he had visited you on occasion, right?
Yes, about 4 years ago.
Right about the same time that this was going on. Well, let me just show you.
And not the
It's
baby
number-
talk. No.
no.
Although, waifu, if you ever want to sweet talk me with some baby talk during one of your live streams again, you whispered
467,
sweet
does that
nothings in my
refresh
ear the other day while I was taking a nap. It was wonderful.
your recollection as to when this individual from ABC was visiting you?
Yes.
And what dates did he visit you?
July 8th, 2009 and September 17th, 2009.
Right? And that's the same individual that's mentioned there, right?
Yes.
She wanted the attention. She was asking for the producer of ABC.
You previously indicated to us that with regard to Inside Edition, that they came to visit you and that you really did solicit them coming out to the jail to talk to you, right?
That's right.
And that you believe that the guard pushed you into that interview, right?
Inside Edition, yes.
And who was that guard? What's that guard's name?
I don't remember her name. It was 5 years ago almost. She didn't push me. She just encouraged me.
Well, who was it? What's the name of this person that encouraged you?
I don't remember her name. They don't wear name tags very often.
But with regard to the visit involving Mark Stanek with ABC News, she had nothing to do with that, right?
No, nothing to do with that one.
And you took his visit, right?
Yes, I did.
You can refuse a visit from anybody you want, correct?
Yes,
And you did not refuse his visit, right?
that's right.
Now, let's take a look at another page, page 20. And there are some words there on page 20. And they're kind of hard to find, but they're in pencil, right? The writings,
I haven't seen him.
those are in pencil, right?
It looks like it, yes.
Pardon?
It looks like it,
You
yes.
testify.
Well, no, take a look at it. We want to make sure.
She's trying to tell people how to testify in these. I forgot about this. I had vague
Oh.
recollections of this.
Yes, it is.
And where you are living currently, they do not allow pens, right?
That's right.
They only allow pencils, right?
Yes.
And on this page, number 20, it says, read it for me,
You testify so.
okay? Page 37. And you would agree that the one on page 20 is kind of hard to find. It's kind of right here near the spine of the book, right?
It seems like it, yeah.
Page 37 has some more writing on it. See that right there? And again, if the glare's too much, let me know and I'll work it.
It looks like it said, oh, you want me to read it? I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
It looks like it says, we can fix this.
We can fix this, right?
Right.
Page 40. Has some more writing on it, and the lighting's not so good, but it says, what does it say?
Looks like it says directly contradicts what I've been saying for over a year.
Okay,
She's telling people how to testify.
and the publishing date on this item is
We can
August 2011, correct?
That's
say
correct.
that to Salvador face to face.
Yeah, he won't accept that.
Page 43 says what?
It says, you fucked up what you told my attorney the next day.
Okay. Then page 54 says,
I'm quite sure
Interview
there are
was
blow-up
excellent,
dolls
must
of
talk-
Jodi.
I'm sorry.
I'm quite, Jeff H. Great selling point for a blow-up doll. I'm quite sure there are blow-up dolls of Jodi out there.
Oh, I'm sure there are. We have a great one here in a straitjacket up on our cover.
ASAP.
Christmas coming
And
up. I
56.
guess Sal.
I need Sal's address. I think he may have finally given it to me. I want to send him some stuff.
says what?
Asshole cat.
Get down here
Stop.
ASAP and see me before you talk to them again and before.
Doesn't seem to make much sense, but.
Jingles
Mark
is
it exists.
aggressively clawing at my share. And he has a look on his face.
Take a look at Exhibit 468. This contains the pages and what was written on them, doesn't it?
Lego.
And if you need the book, let me know.
Yes.
Yeah, Farrell has his address and everything. She knows exactly where he lives, where he travels.
Yeah. I'm not sure who she is supposed to write to. Is she trying to get that newspaper to somebody?
I don't know. She probably said like so and so is going to get a note from me, and you're going to get it from this person. Some sort of weird dramatic thing.
Yeah, because she got that paper,
What,
and then maybe she was trying to give it to lawyers, send this to. I don't know.
I don't know, but she's clearly talking about somebody testifying a certain way, which is probably not a good thing to get out there.
Nope.
in summary, this is what we've just covered, correct, in the magazine?
That's correct.
Lego.
Let's take a
I
look at
want
the
my share to
slide
survive
again,
at
which is Exhibit
least half a
466.
year.
Sorry, I was muted. So this is what she writes. You testify so we can fix this. Directly contradicts what I've been saying for over a year. You fucked up. What you told my attorney next day. Interview was excellent. Must talk ASAP. Get down here ASAP and see me before you talk to them again and before. So this is obviously a message to somebody who probably did an interview and said something that was contradictory to Jodi's story. And now they need to have a chat. That's what's going on here.
Okay.
Let's take a look at the Star magazine, which is Exhibit 466. And this is addressed to you, correct?
Yes.
And the date? Can you see that February 6, 2012?
I see July 25th, 2011 up in the corner and February 6th, 2012 there.
If we go to page 82, because if we look at this exhibit number 468, what is written here doesn't seem to make sense, correct?
Not offhand, no.
But if we then go to exhibit 466, there are some numbers at the bottom of that, and they're in pencil, aren't they?
Yes.
And what are those numbers, man?
My understanding is that they're page numbers.
That may be your understanding, but what are the numbers?
Oh, I'm sorry. 43, 40, 56, 20, 37, 54.
Okay.
Has she circled words?
Yeah, we
Oh,
did.
please.
Our
Say
brain-
this is a really, really bad spy novel.
This is just like what we've been solving with Hunt a Killer in my Discord. By the way, if you become a member, you can play along Hunt a Killer with us. We have these like little codes, and you have to look up like words on the page and decipher a code.
468, according to those numbers, man, I want you to take a look at it there. $469. Does exhibit 469 have those statements in the order as set out in the Star magazine?
Yes.
Mads, no, she wouldn't have had a good career in politics because she doesn't have her own personality. She adapts to the boyfriend she wants.
Well, that's true. Although, you know, there's a lot of
Overruled exhibit 469 is admitted.
what do you call it? Lobbyists that could really control
Yeah.
her.
Yeah, that too. Maybe a political secretary of sorts.
Take a look at it.
Could get her a husband as well. Could have.
Read it, please.
You fucked up. What you told my attorney next day directly contradicts what I've been saying for over a year. Get down here ASAP and see me before you talk to them again and before you testify so we can fix this. Interview was excellent. Must talk ASAP.
So, ma'am, this was written in these two magazines 4 days, when you attempted to transfer them, 4 days before a hearing on August 8th of 2011, correct?
I don't know when they were written.
Well, this magazine, the Star magazine, as well as the photography magazine, you attempted to transfer those back on August 4th, 4 days before this hearing, right?
Just the magazines, yes.
And I know you keep saying just the magazines. The magazines have your name on them, correct?
Yes, I'm only allowed to release my own property.
Ma'am, I understand that, but those magazines have your name on them, right?
Yes,
And those magazines were in your possession on August 4th of 2011, right?
yes.
And those magazines you had with
Thank you,
you
Peace
when you
Pioneer.
went to,
Yeah, I was gonna say you got a gifted membership.
Give the
Damn
membership.
it. Now you're winning on the gifted memberships too.
Yeah. And congratulations to Dawn Kratzer. That's a new member, completely new. Congratulations. There's members only content and access to my Discord. Yay!
So-
Thank you so much.
So Nick is winning on the thumbs up. He's winning on gifted memberships. The only thing, and then we're tied on super chats because nobody super chatted us. So everyone's aware.
Well, you won.
David and Campbell, right?
What's that?
You won on Tuesday.
But I didn't get the most likes. That's the important part.
Right?
I brought them almost to the visit, but they don't go with me to see her.
Excuse me?
They don't go with me to see her. They get passed off to several different
I
officers.
understand, but you brought them from your cell, correct?
Yes,
And you, at that point, at some point during the visit, requested that these magazines be given to Ann Campbell, right?
Yes,
These two magazines that we're talking about here, correct?
correct.
And that was actually done. You're trying to tell us about the process. Why don't you tell us what the process is?
The process is when you want to release property, you have to fill out a request. You have to state your request fairly specifically, what you're releasing, the title of what you're releasing. At least those are the rules now. They've updated it. It was more generic then. And then it is given to an officer who inspects it and then gives it, when it passes inspection, it's given to a sergeant who approves it. And then it's passed off to either, I think it's called, there's a control center. It's given to that officer and then it's given to the visitation officer. So when the visitor leaves, they pick up the property and go.
And that's how this, and you attempted to use that process to get these magazines to Ann Campbell, right?
Yes.
And shortly before August 4th, do you know somebody by the name of Matthew McCartney?
Yes, I do.
Shortly before this August 4th date, by shortly I mean within the month, you know that Mr. McCartney was interviewed by the prosecutor, right?
I think it was around that time.
All right. So we got 20 Swedish, or not Swedish,
No.
Danish crowns. Is it crowns in Denmark?
Yep.
Okay. So 20 Swedish crowns from Mads. Thank you very much. I at least win one. 1 out of 3. I'm going to call that. It's not a complete shutout. Thank you very much.
And Viking squad, you know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
We're in contact with Mr. McCartney about the interview, right? In other words, you let him know that this interview with the prosecutor was going to take place, right?
I think my attorney let him know.
Well, isn't it true that in a telephone
Aw.
that you spoke with Mr. McCartney on the telephone
Thank you,
about the
Stray.
requested interview by the prosecutor,
thank
Juan
you.
Martinez?
I believe that is true.
And that interview took place within approximately a month of this August 11th date of the hearing, right?
I wasn't told when it was taking place, but it was close to that time.
And Mr. McCartney is the individual that you testified about previously with whom you had this relationship with, right?
Yes,
And he's somebody that you dated, what, in 2001?
2000 and 2001.
And he's the individual that you said that, well, we kind of broke up because, well, why don't you tell us why you broke up with him? Why you think you broke up with him?
Because he cheated on me.
And you're saying that he cheated on you with somebody named Brianna, right?
Bianca.
Bianca. And what happened with regard to that incident is that he cheated on you, you heard about it, and you heard about it while you were at work, right?
Yes,
Was this at the Purple Plum?
this was at Applebee's.
Applebee's, and you decided to drive about an hour and a half to confront Bianca, right?
Yes.
Because you needed to find out, right?
Thank you, John Gordon, for your $10 super chat. Much appreciated.
Copy.
To know, yes.
You needed to know. Isn't that sort of the same thing that you did with Mr. Alexander in August of 2007 when you saw him kissing with somebody that you went and you asked him about what was going on the night before because you needed to know, right?
What do you really think?
And so you went up to, was it Crater Lake?
Yes.
And you went up to Crater Lake, and this is the place where they have people living in not subsidized housing, but housing that is provided by the employer, right?
Yes, they're like dorms.
And you were able to find where this Bianca was, right?
Yes.
How was it that you were able to find this Bianca if you had never had contact with her?
I asked a mutual friend and he told me what room she was in. So I
Which
knocked
mutual
on
friend
the
did? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
door. So I just went and knocked on that door.
Which mutual friend did you ask?
I believe his name was Steve.
And is this the individual that you said that acted really gay, right?
He was gay and he was acting very frantic.
Right. And you indicated that when you came over there, he started to act really frantic, right?
Yes.
And he started to act really
Really?
frantic just at the sight of you.
Thank you.
Now they're rolling in.
Yeah.
We got to
It
get
was
to
gifted to Melly Cormier, Hurley, Rain Gray, Len H, and Heather Musher. I think though you're all completely new members. Congratulations. Members only stuff on my channel, and I just posted a new invite link to members only on my channel page. Thank you so much, Thierry.
You know what I'm noticing? Every time
No?
I pause Jodi's face, she has one of two. Like she could be either really hot or look like this.
Yeah.
Just depends on the moment of freeze.
Right?
I think because I was asking about Bianca and he knew about the affair.
Well, he saw you and you started to talk to him, right?
Yes.
He has
When
a
you started to
resting
talk to him-
mug face.
Did
Yeah,
you
really
immediately
don't.
indicate to him that you wanted to talk about Bianca?
Not about, but to.
So you indicated you wanted to talk to Bianca, right?
Yes.
And immediately,
Sal's never going to change. Never change, Sal.
Sal never change. Yeah.
shortly thereafter, he started to get all flustered, right? Would that be correct or not?
Not when I saw him, but when I went to her room to knock.
So you start talking to him about Bianca, and he tells you what place, the room she's staying in, right?
Yes.
And he goes with you, right?
No, he told me the wrong room.
He gave, initially, when you went to see him, he gave you the wrong room, right?
Yes.
And you went to that wrong room.
Yes.
And when you went to that wrong room, did you speak to the people there?
I knocked, nobody answered.
In the meantime, Steve had gone somewhere else, right?
Yes.
He had gone to where Bianca was, right?
Yes.
But you didn't tell Steve why you were there, right?
Just that I wanted to talk to Bianca.
Right, but you didn't tell him why you wanted to talk to her, right?
No, not why.
And it was kind of an unannounced visit, right?
Yes.
And so he took it upon himself, without any prompting from you, to give you the wrong place and then go and talk to Bianca, right?
Yes.
And then you went, and how is it that you were able to find Bianca's room?
I thought maybe I misheard him and transposed the numbers, so I reversed to the two last numbers. It was a three-digit dorm, and I had the right floor, but I just went to the opposite number.
So do you remember the number?
No.
So you went there, and when you got to the door, you heard that there was talking inside, right?
Yes.
And there was talking inside. Would it be characterized as excited inside?
Steve's
She always seems to have a way to find her exes cheating on her. Like it's through an email or she confronts them.
voice. Yes.
Right, and this is the one that you said he was sort of acting gay over dramatic, right?
Yes. Dramatic.
And you attributed that to the fact that he was gay, though, right?
It was a feminine tone, so yes.
Well, no, I mean, part of what you told us before was that, well, he's kind of gay and he's kind of
He
that
is
way,
gay.
and so that he was being dramatic, right?
He is gay and he was acting dramatic.
And that's what you told us, right?
Yes.
It could have also been that it wasn't because he was gay, it was because he was concerned that you were there, that he was excited, right?
Well, I never said that he was.
Overall, you may answer.
I never said he was acting that way because he's gay. I just said the tone of voice. I remember it because it was very feminine and very frantic, almost like a woman.
But you're the one that brought up the fact that he was gay, right?
Yes.
And explained it.
Yeah, she continuously gets cheated on. It's like somebody who comes to me and like, well, I got to go through my divorce and this is my 5th divorce. And it's like, well, you keep getting married is the problem. But yeah, it's amazing how she keeps getting cheated on. I'm sure it's always the guy's fault, right?
Yeah, not the fact that she has the next boyfriend lined up before she breaks up. That's not that kind of that kind of emotional cheating. Apparently, it's not cheating. And but Travis, they broke up, and then he went out of his way to. So I'm not so sure.
But he did also invite her in for a little, rubby.
Well, she
promo
was.
push.
Yeah, she was the side piece of his main.
Yeah, that's what she was, and she was very jealous about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, when I was describing it.
Right. And so you were able to hear his voice through the door, right?
Yes.
And it was an excited tone.
Yes.
And that excited tone could be for a myriad of reasons, but one of them was that you were there unannounced, right?
That's right.
And it could be that he was, for whatever reason, excited or.
I love the chats in cool channels as well. So
I mean, our chats, they can get rowdy at times, but very, very few times they are completely out of line. It seems like our chats knows where the boundaries are.
yes, we have about 10 minutes left on this, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, our chat is awesome. I love our chat. I really wish we could combine the chats. But I see them all here, but you guys can't see each other, so it's disappointing.
Yeah, that's a bit sad.
That term, he was excited that you were there, right?
Yeah, also speculation. You don't know why he's excited.
Rephrase the question.
He had his demeanor when you arrived changed after you asked for Bianca, right?
I didn't notice it change. I just noticed it different after I went to knock on her door.
And his demeanor changed to the fact that he was more excited, for lack of a better term,
Yes.
right?
Frantic.
And you began to knock on the door, right?
Yes.
Nobody answered, right?
No, they answered.
Initially, right?
Bianca answered. Oh,
No,
the first
not
time.
initially.
Do you mean the
The
first
second door, didn't you say before that you went to that door, you knocked on that door, and nobody answered initially, you heard them talking?
For a second before she came to the door, yeah.
So, so you were there long enough to hear them excitedly talking, right?
Not her, just him.
And how long were you standing there before the door was open?
I'd say 5 seconds or less.
She opened the door, right?
Yes,
And did you recognize her? Well, you did recognize her from her photograph, right?
it looked to be the same person.
And you began to talk to her, right?
Yeah, I asked if she was Bianca.
Right. You began to talk to her, right?
Yes,
And you started to talk to her, and you brought up the subject of Matt McCartney, right?
yes,
She didn't bring it up, right?
that's right.
And you started to talk to her, and you started to ask her whether or not they had a relationship, right?
Yes,
And you were able to determine that they did, in fact, have a relationship, right?
yes.
And you were able to determine that they, in fact, had been intimate, right?
She indicated they had not had sex, but intimate somewhat, yes.
And ma'am, at that time, when this was going on, you weren't living with Mr. McCartney, right?
No, I was in
Yeah.
Ashland.
Pardon?
I was in Ashland.
And he was where?
He lived at, well, he had moved away from Crater Lake. He had lived at Crater Lake that summer, and now he moved back to Phoenix with his dad at that point.
And your belief was that you and he were still boyfriend and girlfriend at the time, right?
That was my belief.
Actually, he may have had a different belief as you came to know later, right?
Yes,
He did not believe that you and he had a relationship, but were not boyfriend and girlfriend at the time, right?
I don't know if that was his belief.
Well, you've spoken to him about it, right?
Yes,
And based on your conversation, do you have a belief, don't you have a belief that at that time, he didn't think that you and he were boyfriend and girlfriend?
based on that conversation, my belief was that he knew he had messed up, and he was very sorry for it.
But how long did this conversation take with Bianca?
We actually sat and chit-chatted for about an hour.
And this was at your request, right? And for an hour, you received information about what her relationship was with Mr. McCartney, right?
He wasn't the whole conversation, but initially, yes.
Well, you weren't there to visit with her because you'd driven an hour and a half, right?
Can you say that again?
Well, you weren't there just to chit chat with her, right?
That wasn't the point of the drive, no,
I mean, you wanted to find out what the heck was going on with Mr. McCartney, right?
absolutely.
And so it's fair to say that this wasn't a situation where you were just sitting there chit chatting about her job or anything like that. It was because you were interested in finding out what was going on, right?
Yes,
And you were satisfied after speaking to her for about an hour, what was going on.
I was satisfied pretty early on,
Um,
not just the hour.
and in fact, isn't it true that
Hey, Nikki.
you became a bit
Well,
excited or upset during that conversation?
No,
At any time, did you raise your voice to Bianca?
definitely not. I was in her home.
And in this place, Crater Lake, was what, an hour and a half from where you were living in Ashland, right?
About 70 miles.
But it's an hour and a half driving, right?
I think so, yes, about an hour and a half.
And then after that, where did you go?
After that, it was very late. I didn't want to drive the hour and a half back because I fell asleep. So I went and stayed at a mutual friend's dorm. There were two.
And what's that friend's name?
Eddie.
Eddie what?
Eddie Lee.
And how did you know Eddie Lee?
I knew him because his parents also owned a restaurant in Wairika, as did my parents at that time. And
How
We
old
just-
were you when this was happening?
how old was I?
Yes.
I believe I just turned 21.
And your parents still own a restaurant, right?
No, not at that time.
She does a
They had
little.
owned one up to
Looks
how
like
old were you? when
Theodore.
they
I think I
stopped?
was 16 when they closed it the first time, 16 or 17.
Right about the time you moved out of their home.
It was I moved out after they closed it.
And growing up, they had more than one restaurant, though, right?
Yes.
And how many restaurants did your family have?
Total that I know of. 6 or 7.
And growing up, there really wasn't any financial problems, was there?
Early on, there was not.
And early on, there were trips to Disneyland, for example, right?
Yes, when I was very young.
And when you say very young, we're talking up to 6, 7, or 8, right?
Under 10.
And during that time, it was what has been described as what you described as an idyllic sort of environment, right?
Yes, somewhat.
And then at some point,
Yeah.
the
She
restaurant
thinks she's
issue
winning
started-
this.
there became an
She
issue with the
isn't.
restaurants, right?
Yes, I believe it. My understanding is it
In my
was an issue.
opinion.
And Mr. McCartney, where was he living at the time that you went to see Bianca?
He was living in Phoenix, Oregon with his dad.
And he had a room there, correct?
I believe he had his own room there, yes.
And sometimes when Mr. McCartney, what town did he live in?
Phoenix, Oregon?
And after this conversation, you and he broke up, right?
Yes, after he got back from Borrego Springs.
Pardon?
After he returned from Borrego Springs, that's where he was that night.
Okay, he came up, and what town did you meet in Phoenix? Is that where you met?
Yes.
And that's when you decided that was the end of it, right? You decided that, right?
I don't remember. It was just a lot of tears, and it was obvious that the trust was gone and there was not any kind of relationship anymore.
And basically, that's the same reason why you and Mr. Alexander broke up, because according to you, the trust was gone, right?
That's right.
And so after the trust is gone with Mr. McCartney, though, you still continue sort of seeing him, don't you?
There were some blurred boundaries, but we were not boyfriend girlfriend.
And in fact, you even stayed together at Crater Lake or Ventana Inn together after this, right? After you broke up, right?
We crashed in a tent for 2 weeks, but we were not together at Ventana.
But you did have intercourse with him after this breakup, didn't you? Do you remember telling us that on direct
Yes, one
examination?
time.
One time, but you did though, right?
Yes.
I never have that issue. I've been dual streaming with Valhalla and Baker all week, and myself and Baker all week. Never an issue. I had 4 windows open logged in with 2 different accounts on 2 different streams. It wasn't an issue at all.
Mm.
And
Thank you,
he
Jim.
continued.
Everyone gets the watch hours if they're in different tabs.
Sometimes you have to have two windows open. Thank you, Mim. And Nikki got it. Yay!
Did he continue to live at his parents' house?
He moved down to Ventana to find work also. He was looking for seasonal work.
Right, and at Ventana, this is where they have the places to stay as part of the job, right?
Yes, more employee housing.
And where were you when he was at Ventana?
I was hired at Ventana first, and then he applied for a job right after me, and he was hired also.
And you and he were not sharing, were you sharing the same bed or not?
After I got housing, no, we were not.
Right. Isn't it true that after you got housing, though, you would, when he wasn't around, go over to wherever he was staying and stay in his bed?
He didn't have a bed, he lived in a tent, and no, that's not true.
So how long did you continue to see him?
Well, we were no longer romantic. We just hung out more like friends.
But you continue to be friends up to this day, though, haven't you?
We've sort of lost contact, but yeah, we're still friends.
And, well, you at least had contact with him involving the interview with the prosecutor, though, right?
I believe I did, but I know my attorneys did for sure.
I'm not interested in what your attorneys did. I'm interested in what you did. Isn't it true that you had contact with him, right?
Yes.
And when you made your trip down from Wairika to kill Mr. Alexander, you stopped in the Monterey area, didn't you?
I can't answer your question the way it's phrased.
You didn't stop in the Monterey, didn't drive through the Monterey area?
That's a weird
did
way
stop
of
in the
saying
Monterey
I don't
area.
want to answer.
And one of the people that you saw in the area was Matthew McCartney, right?
Yes.
And did he live in Seaside then?
I believe he lived in Pacific Grove
And that's the same.
or Monterey. I mean, the border is they were right next to each other.
And so you actually stopped to see him back on June 3rd of 2008, right?
Yes.
And in fact, you spent the night with him June 2nd to the morning of June 3rd, right?
Yes, I crashed on the floor.
But you spent the night with him, right?
Not with him, no.
Okay, you spent the night at his apartment, right?
Him and his roommate, yes.
Okay, he and his roommate had an apartment. You spent the night there, correct?
It was like a house. I stayed the night there in the room that they shared.
In the house, they had a room together, both of them, right?
Yes.
And you stayed in the same room with these 2 individuals, right?
Yes, on the floor.
All right. And the 3 of you were in the room, though, is the point then, right?
Yes, when we slept, yes.
And you guys went to sleep around midnight, and you got up at what time the next morning, which would have made it the 3rd. What time did you get up?
I don't know what time we went to sleep, and I woke up sometime in the morning.
And did he go with you to see Mr. Brewer or not?
No.
And so you, after seeing him, though, there, you parted ways, and you left, right? And went to Salinas, right?
Yes, I did. Yes, I went to Salinas.
Pardon?
I went to Salinas.
And how far is Salinas from Pacific Grove, Seaside, Monterey, whatever the area is? How far is it?
My recollection is that it's
Aries.
between 20 and 30 minutes, depending on the traffic.
And you were sort of detouring to Salinas for some cosmetic work, right?
Well, I had to go to Salinas anyway to get on the road because I have to take Highway 1 south. I mean, 101, excuse me, south.
But you did go, when you went to Salinas, you did get some cosmetic work, right?
Yes, my nails.
Right. And you said it took a long time, right?
Yes.
And what kind of place was that in Salinas?
It was at a strip mall, somewhat.
What What was the name of it? How about that?
Oh, I don't know. It was one of those little operations where people are just coming and going. There's a long wait.
And they only do nails, according to you then?
It looked like they did pedicures also. I don't remember if there was hair or not, but just definitely nails and feet.
But it could have been a place, a salon where they also did hair, right?
It might have been.
And do you remember the name of this place at all?
No.
Oh, really? What time did you get to Salinas?
Obviously, you're not familiar with the Provo push, which involves a third person.
I don't remember.
And how long were you in Salinas?
Few hours. I don't remember. I know that I wanted to get on the road, but
So what time did you get on the road?
it was still light out, but I don't remember the time.
This was after you had been over to Mr. Brewer's house, right?
Yes.
You were there for a time and then you left Mr. Brewer's house, right?
Yes.
And then you went back to return something, right?
If I remember from his recollection, I kind of remember it.
Well, I'm not asking for his, I'm asking for your recollection. Do you remember coming back and giving him something?
I remember. I don't actually remember it.
Then I
but-
don't want you to tell me if you don't remember anything.
Yeah.
Judge?
Yes, all right, ladies and gentlemen, Monday, 10:30. Please remember the admonition. You're excused.
All right.
Okay.
That was
Yeah.
our Jodi Day, end of day 21.
Yes,
a lot
it
of-
was.
I'm not terribly thrilled with her testimony. I thought
No.
the way everyone's talked about her, I thought she was going to be a lot more clever on cross-examination, and she's less clever and more just, I don't even know if it was argumentative. It's ditzy. It's, I don't
Yeah.
know. You have to answer it a different way. I don't know if I can answer that. I don't know how.
She is very avoiding, and but prosecution did calm down a bit after that objection, but not entirely. But she's very evasive, and once in a while, after a good time, not a good time, but after a good while, then he gets to the point, and boom, there's her paper.
Well, and so this prosecutor is very cunning because he knows that Jodi's going to see stuff coming a mile away, or at least try to anticipate it and engage her responses accordingly. So he jumps around. If you remember from his first opening questions were all about the photograph with the sister that the defense introduced, and then he just let it alone. And then he went on to a different course of questions, and then he came back to it and said, all right, these photographs, remember you said that your injury happened in January, but this is a picture of your hand in May. And then he jumped over to something else, and he's doing it to try to keep her off balance. She doesn't really know where he's coming from. So I understand his technique, but it is a little jarring for the jury.
Yeah. Yep. Jump up, jump up, jump up, up. Whatever that song was.
Jump up, and get down.
Yeah.
Jump.
Two
That's
middle-aged white guys quoting a rap song. Yay, Saturdays.
I think one of them's dead by now. I think one of them died recently. This is Crisscross, I believe, but I might be wrong. Anyways, yeah, I mean that's the observation that I have here. He's definitely trying to keep her off kilter a little bit, just to prevent her from coming up with these fantastical stories going forward and seeing what's coming on. And of course, the lawnmower is like right below me right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's about it. Otherwise, remember, people, every Tuesday and Saturday at noon Eastern, 6 p.m. Swedish time, no matter what we are doing, we stop when we do Jodi. And this Tuesday is Halloween, so Nick and I will be in costume.
Yep.
Nick may or may not be a pop rock, and I may or may not be a Tootsie Pop. But either way, it's going to be entertaining.
Yeah. And I was about to say something. Yeah, Tuesday I will be covering the law professor murder trial, but I will have a break for Jodi. We do that, no matter where. But that's also around lunch. So it's a fitting Eastern time break for an hour and a half of Jodi.
You have your murder case, your Professor Murder case, and I have my what is it? My love triangle murder case.
Yep.
Caitlin Armstrong. That's the case I'm covering. Geez, starts on Monday.
Yeah.
And
yeah, Dave has his Lego stream later today. I might have a stream with Dani on. It's not up yet. About a cult, the family or Children of God cult.
yeah, and she's been
So,
really busy, I know, and she hasn't streamed much this period. So hopefully that actually happens because I know you guys have been talking about that for a while. That's going to be an interest. What time is it supposed to start? Do you know?
I think it's supposed to start around midnight my time, which is 6 p.m. Eastern. So
Good,
it would
so
be
I can
before
watch it
you.
then before I do my Lego stream.
Yeah, and hopefully I can get Dani to redirect to your Lego stream. Depends on how much time our stream takes.
Well, we're starting at 9 p.m. Eastern and then going until probably midnight or later, depending on how long it takes me to build the pirate ship. But Steph, the Alter Nerd, is coming on, so that's going to be a good time. I haven't really had a lot of one-on-one with her, but it's not going to be one-on-one. We have a Provo push situation going on, but I can still get some time with her, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, and by the way, Grand Slam, likes, memberships, and super chats.
Yeah, I was ignoring that. Nick's got the win, all 3. I was completely blown out of the water today. Thank you all for your support in chat.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And until the next Jodi Day, we will. I got to get my exit video queued up. All right, we'll play Farrell's exit video, and y'all have a good rest of your day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
The State of Arizona versus Jodi Arias, verdict, count 1. We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn in the above entitled action upon our oaths, do find the defendant as to count 1, first-degree murder.